We got it up and running. Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here in the beautiful, beautiful south side of Chicago. It's cold. I say beautiful. Things do tend to be beautiful when they're frozen. I've seen some gorgeous ice sculptures. If you were to take a 10,000-foot look at the city of Chicago on this morning, you would probably say that's the prettiest ice sculpture I've ever seen. Let's check in for my Texas friends with the weather at the moment. Let's see. Oh, well, would you look at that? Temperature's going up, people. It's going up. That's right. We are 5 degrees. We are going up. This sucks. Can I just be straight with you? This sucks. It sucks for a couple of reasons. The first and most in the front of my mind reason that this all sucks, this weather, I'm talking about this incredible Arctic blast that we're experiencing here in Chicago. God save the rest of you. It showed up too late. It showed up too late. I needed the Arctic blast last night around 5 o'clock at kickoff, the way it had been predicted. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was cold during the game yesterday, but they kept showing the temperature. And, I'm sure if you're from, Daytona Beach, you might be watching it and go, 18 degrees, it sure looks cold. Meanwhile, we're all here in Chicago going, what the hell, man? It's supposed to be like 2. We can handle more than 18. 18 is nothing. I bet somebody from Southern California could spend 3 hours in 18 degrees, and they did. Man, it was supposed to plunge as the sun went down last night in Chicago. And again, don't get me wrong, 18 degrees is absurdly cold. But we wanted Chicago Bear football cold. We wanted 65,000 people in the stands to need to get somebody to jumpstart their car when the game was over cold. That's what we wanted, and we didn't get it. We didn't get it till like midnight. At midnight is when the temperature started to drop, and oh my God. So here we are. So now it's just a Monday after our team has lost, and it's freaking cold as balls around here. I hope it's nice where you guys are. Hi, Bill. Let's say hi to the chat room. We've got people. We like a chat room. Come on, let's keep it going. We've got Bill in the chat room, April in the chat room, Leslie in the chat room. Mikey D is in the chat room. I can't see anymore. Where's all my regulars? I can't see. Why can't I see? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Got a lot of stuff we got to get to today, folks. Got a lot of stuff on my mind. A lot of just normal people talk, as I like to say. This show is for the normals. Yeah, I know, maybe 15 years ago, if your teenager called you a normie, it was an insult. But I got to be honest with you, it's a compliment now. If you're called a normie now, it's a freaking compliment, guys, because we are through the looking glass, Alice. I've said this for a long time. There was a letter that was sent yesterday, and we're going to get into this letter. What? Oh. Our president, you guys. And I told you last week, I told you that that I was I don't know, look, I've been doing talk radio since 1992 in major markets here in America. I've had success in Chicago and in Dallas. I know what I'm doing here, right? I'll tell you this. Here's an indication that I know what I'm doing. I followed Howard Stern every single day for 9 years, maintained his audience, and never once ran afoul of the FCC. I know that means nothing to you, but that's a skill to Kelly and I. We're like, man, we can keep this audience without getting in trouble. Anyway, I know what I'm doing here. And I told you last week, this is the first time in my life as an American citizen, as a pundit, if you will, as a talk show host, this is the first time in my fucking life that I am legitimately concerned about the next thing that I say. That I am legitimately worried that there will be some governmental action taken against me because I deem to speak against whatever the fucking MAGA crowd wants. That's where we are. And there is video that I'm going to share with you today. that I wish it went more viral. I wish more people saw it. I don't understand why it's being throttled. Well, actually, Elon Musk running Twitter. Actually, I do get why it's being throttled. The Secret Service is paying visits to American citizens because of tweets. We'll get into that story and we'll watch some video. And guys, when I tell you, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Look at me. I try to be as authentic as possible. You guys know that I'm not some guy in his 50s with, a summer home and a boat and all of this money and say, no, I've made some choices in my life, some choices that I think were authentic choices in order that, I have depression. All right. Yeah, I have to live my life a certain way. That's all I'll say. But I've made some choices that have gotten me to this point where I've now been doing this show every day for 5 years. No audience. We haven't grown. It's just kind of been our little secret. But I'm at the point now where we need to grow because I'm afraid that I am small enough and insignificant enough that I could be easily fucking targeted. So help this show. This isn't any more about, oh, hey, Pugs is just trying to not dig ditches for a living. No, this is about growing and supporting the fucking opposition voice. Because I'm legitimately frightened after the video that I saw. I mean, look, there's a point in me. It's like, yes, please. This might be the entitlement of me as an American who grew up in the 80s and the 90s and was always told that, as long as we're not violent and we just say what we feel, we're good. That ain't the case anymore, man. That ain't the case anymore. So we're going to get into that. Some frightening video of just a regular old tweeter. Thank God for Ring doorbells. Thank God for Ring doorbells. Watch what you tweet. Well, you MAGA folks, you don't have to watch what you tweet. Apparently the right doesn't have to watch. They're fine. They can tweet any kind of nonsense. That's where we are, guys. And I'm not kidding. I'm scared shitless. So please follow. Just amplify this show because the only way, even if I get... I have no delusions that, this is going to be the Charlie Kirk of the left. That's not what I'm talking about, guys. I'm just talking about I need more people. I need more people so that if I disappear, maybe there'll be some kind of fucking, and I don't mean, look, disappeared, thrown in a gulag. I don't know, but I could just stop doing this. There could be something that happens one day after the show where it's made pretty clear to me and I just fucking stop doing this. And it turns into me doing a sports show, which quite frankly, maybe I should be doing. I am the best sports talker in America. It's scary times to be a loudmouth. It's scary times to be a loudmouth who is saying something against the guy who sits on the throne. So please help the show out. By the way, this show does run on your gratuities. It has for 5 years. I say drop something in the Venmo, drop something in the Cash App if you want to support this show. That used to be look, the show still needs your financial support, but now more than ever, it needs your amplification. It needs you to help the algorithm. Everything that you do, from clicking my stupid shit to sharing my stupid shit, it increases the algorithm, which means that somebody new might be we need to grow, is my point. And we actually have. Over the last few weeks, the show has begun to spread out a little bit. Our daily averages are up. So thank you. And I won't bore you with any of that stuff. But man, it is more important than ever. If you are an American citizen, if you're a big, fat, lazy, stupid, taking it all for granted American citizen, it's time to wake the fuck up. Thank you. All right, we said that. Now, to the point of helping the show and supporting the show financially, I told you last week. I said, look, man, we are not getting any tips. We are growing the show, but the tips are not. Come on, man. And I get it. We've only got so many people over the past 5 years who have been able to support this show. And, I call them the fabulous 15. I love them. There's about 15 of you who support this show to the extent that it can keep going. So thank you so much. But we need to grow that. And I told you that I felt that because of, the Trump economy and the Christmas season, and now it's January and bills are coming due, that we were in trouble this month. We're in trouble every January. It's nothing new. I anticipated it. But I needed somebody. I said last week, somebody please step up, help us out. Just somebody drop a bomb. Somebody drop a bomb to get us right. And guess what? Today's executive producer is Mama B. Mama B got us right. I mean, we're still Mama B got our head above water, which is better than being under, because we were under last week. So please, everybody, if you see Mama B pop into the chat room, give her a big cyber hug for us all. Thank you, guys. All right, let's go back to the chat room. We got some new people in there. There's my girl. There's Ty. Sharonda's in here now. We got Apes. Let's see here. April says, still look miserable with cold snow all over the field. Damn, end of fourth pass from Caleb had me jumping out of my bed. It's a fun game. Look, I told you guys this. I told you guys this on Friday, right? You know, the Bears, Chicago Bears. I love my Bears. I got my Bears. There it is. Got my Bears thing here. Got my Bears. I'm a Bears fan. Everybody knows that. I love my Bears. But what did I tell you about this game? I said our Super Bowl was the Green Bay Packers game. That was this season for the Chicago Bears. We have been terrible. Worst to first. I mean, we were the worst team last year in our division, and we won the division this year. Worst to first. That was not something that we had our fingers crossed and we're hoping for going into this year. Going into this year, the Chicago Bears just wanted to, win more than 5 games. That would have been nice. And we needed to see if our new quarterback, the first overall pick, Caleb Williams, could in fact be improved and tutored by an offensive genius like Ben Johnson, who we made our head coach. That's all we wanted. We just wanted to see. We wanted to see if there was anything moving forward, that because we, Chicago Bear fans, have been through this a lot, man. Don't get me started with everybody from Caden McNown to Mitch Trubisky to Rex Grossman. We've never hit. So we need to know if we're hit on this number 1 overall pick. And we needed somebody that we could all trust, Ben Johnson, to sort of get in this kid's head and see what we got. So that's what we were looking for this year. I preseason, I was like, 8-9 or whatever. We were like 1 game under 500, but it was like a 3 or 4 game improvement. That's what I wanted. And let me tell you, this season, we started out 0-2, and we looked like shit. And we were all like, oh, my God. And all the pundits, Colin Cowherd and the like, they were all blasted out. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams will not work after 2 weeks. Bears go on a run. They right the ship. All of a sudden, everything that we wanted going into the season, everything that we had hoped for was now, by midseason, accomplished. Don't get greedy. Don't be like, Super Bowl, what up? Hey, that would be nice. And as we found ourselves playing the Los Angeles Rams in the division round on Saturday night, nothing wrong with a Bear fan going, why not us? Nothing wrong with that. Where I find something wrong is on this day, the day after we lost to the Los Angeles Rams, any Bear fan that is like, that fucking sucks. Jesus, man. This season was amazing. We beat the Green Bay Packers 2 weeks ago. That was it, man. That would have not been something that we had thought was achievable. Hey, back in September of this year. Hey, Bear fan, how would you like to beat the Green Bay Packers and kick them out of the playoffs in the first round? We'd be like, yes, please. And it happened. So we're good. So what happened last night in the game? It was cold. Matthew Stafford was cold, man. Well, just look at the score. Obviously, the Rams were affected by the cold. That Rams offense is incredible. Puka Nakua. What is that? Hawaiian? Not going to do so well in that. I know it was only 18 degrees, but I'm a Chicagoan. 18 degrees. It could be worse. Maybe not for old dome boy Matthew Stafford. It was a good game, man. They were there. They had a chance to win it, and that's what this team is. That's what this team has been all season to us Bear fans. We're never out of it. Here's the thing. We don't suck, and that's quite an accomplishment. We don't suck anymore, and we're never out of it. And you better fucking put your foot on our throat at the end of the game, because we are coming back. And that's not going away anytime soon. So cheers to the Bears. What a great season it was. I'll tell you, as a Bear fan, you know who I feel? I feel bad for the Bronco fans, man. We'll get into all the football stuff. We'll recap all the football nonsense. Let's see here. Peter says the fourth quarter comebacks for the Bears this year set a record. way to go. Yeah. Yeah, it was great, man. I watched every game. I saw every one of those comebacks. What a season. Kind of an asshole Bear fan would I be if I'm like on this day going, bah, upset. Nah, season's over. What we're shocked to not have football in February? We never have football in February. What's going on? We're fine. That throw, though, man, that throw, right? You know? We'll talk about it. I can't explain it. You people who have only seen like the 3 or 4 national games that the Bears have been on, those 3 or 4 games, you've probably been treated to, well, 3 or 4 of those fucking throws because for some reason, Caleb likes to show out in front of a national audience. You people have seen those handful and you're like, wow, man, that guy's the luckiest guy. Meanwhile, the rest of us who watched the other games, you know, the noon games against the Titans or whatever, you know, the regional games that aren't that. He's been doing it all season. And here's the other thing. Word to the wise who wants to run their mouth about an improvement over last year. He was doing this shit last year too. He was doing it last year too. I know the narrative coming out of last year was, oh, he's a bust. No, he was fine his first year. He was actually pretty terrific for a first-year quarterback being thrown to the wolves. So whatever, we're fine. We're happy. That 4th and what was it, 4th and 4, where he understand this about this throw, and we'll get into it. We'll talk all about I'll have to give you the dismal week we had for the Kelly method. The Kelly method is the way we pick games. It didn't go well for us. We'll do a whole football segment at the end of the show, but the thing you got to know about that throw when you watch it, the 4th and 4, I think it was 4th and 3, 4th and 4, where he threw the touchdown to Cole Kmet. The throw. Like, I got to explain it. Like we know the throw, Pugs. It's everywhere. We've seen it. Still, there's Caleb haters out there who are like, that was lucky. That wasn't lucky. It was insane, and it was off script and all of that, but that wasn't lucky. Caleb Williams wasn't running backwards because he was afraid and panicking. This fucking kid doesn't panic. He was running backwards because he knows that he's got the biggest cannon arm in the league. Well, one of them anyway. And that if he could just get some footing, he could launch a bitch to one of his guys who knows to go to the back corner. That was Cole Kmet. That play had been done before. Usually he throws it away. This time it was a touchdown in a fucking divisional playoff game. Stop calling it luck. This kid does it all the time. Okay? I can't explain it either. Call it Caleb magic. It was locked. That was a lucky throw. I don't know, man. We've seen him do variations of that all season long. So go ahead. You guys can say lucky. We'll take it. We'll take it. And isn't that another example? I mean, how many weeks now have we on this show been talking about, you know, whenever I mention the Bears or try to recap the game from the night before, how many times this week? Oh, just over the last month have I gone, that's the throw of the year. That's the throw of the year. Well, was that the throw of the year? I don't know. Was that better than the throw of the year from the week before? I don't know. Or the one from 2 weeks before that? I am telling you, you don't have to be a Chicago Bear fan. All you got to be is a football fan. To go to YouTube, and this was made like 2 weeks ago, so it doesn't even include any of this postseason stuff. Let's go to YouTube and watch this 1 hour long highlight reel of Caleb Williams from the regular season. It's insane. Oh yeah, well, he can't do that 4th and 8 all the time. He did it all season. Ben Johnson has been going for it on 4th down all season. He's been doing it all season. I'm sorry the national audience is just getting a taste of it. We've seen it all season. And as I said, truth be told, we saw it last year too. Okay. Peter says it was a classic Caleb throw, and it was. Hey, also, and you know, I don't know that she even knows we're gonna do this. We're gonna call. Hopefully she's around. Has anyone seen Maddie in the chat room? We got to call Maddie today. Maddie has some theories, and I would like to talk to her. And, you know, doing it over the chat room, it's a little bit more difficult. So we're going to bring Maddie in here. Maddie's got some theories about Epstein and Greenland and all of that. Hi, Chaz. Chaz is in the chat room. Chaz has my sympathy. Chaz is a dude Chaz is a Colorado boy. Chaz is a Bronco fan. Chaz has my sympathy, but Chaz also needs to realize, and I'm sure that there are some people in Broncos Nation that are saying, you need to realize this is 2 games. This is a 2-game tournament, man. Sean Payton, that defense, I'm not overly impressed with the AFC entries into what could be the Super Bowl. Look, what happened to Bo Nix, unbelievable, Chaz. You have my thoughts, but man, it's 2 games. 2 games. Backups have won 2 games. Sean Payton is a genius. He can rig it. Let's go Broncos. Who in this country isn't rooting for the Broncos? Bo Nix, man. Jeez. What a kid that is. What a class. Can we just now, I know we're only a couple of years into it, but man, oh man, that quarterback class. You think the playoffs? Oh, see, this is all the stuff I wanted to do in my football segment. Drake May, Daniels, Caleb, Nix. Who am I missing? Unbelievable quarterback class. Unbelievable. And JJ, should nobody be out on 9. Nobody should be out on JJ McCarthy, okay? Injuries are what they are, but when that kid flashes, he flashes with the rest of them. So what a QB class, man. Right now, and I know we're only 3 years or heading into the 3rd year of it. We're only 2 seasons into that quarterback class, but come on, it can't be denied. We have a new crop of quarterbacks in this league. Bye, Aaron Rodgers. Don't need you anymore. Bye, Patrick Mahomes. Don't need you anymore. Well, maybe we could stand a little bit more Patrick Mahomes, right? He's pretty exciting. I like to watch Mahomes. All right. What else we got here? Frankie Smith says, I'm a Bear fan. I have a Sayers jersey. Yeah, my son has a Sayers jersey, too. My kid down there running around Plano, Texas, rocking a number 40 Gale Sayers jersey. Of course, it's my Gale Sayers jersey, but over Christmas, he was like, I like this Gale Sayers jersey. And you know when your teenage kid says something to you like that? And besides, at my age, I shouldn't be wearing jerseys. Who am I kidding? So if my kid, 16, wants to rock a vintage Gale Sayers jersey from the 1960s, let him do it. Let him do it. I will say this about my Gale Sayers jersey. It was the jersey that got the most respect out of old heads. Whenever I would wear the Gale Sayers jersey out, whenever I was at a bear bar or something like that, you walk in wearing the Sayers jersey and you're going to get some old heads going, respect, my man, Sayers. Everybody's got a Peyton. Everybody's got a Peyton in an Urlacher, and these days a Caleb or a Rome, but you rock a Sayers jersey like Frankie and my kid, you're saying something. All right, let's get into it, right? I don't want to waste any more time because this is a show that is all about what's happening in the world, and what's happening in the world is not good. Why? Because it looks like the whole freaking world is rallying against us. Us, that's it, U.S. It's getting crazy. It's like, I don't know where the border of, nonsense is anymore. We've crossed over the border. Everything is crazy. The president of the United States is not acting normally. You get that, right? And I know, look, if you're a Kool-Aid drinker and an apologist or whatever, I can't even say God love you anymore. I don't even know what to say to you. But if you are one of those people, you're probably looking at this going, he's playing 4D chess. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's thugging his way to everything that he has ever wanted. Not everything that is good for we, the people of the United States, but everything that he has ever wanted. And nobody's ever told him no. See, this is the thing that I don't know that people really consider about Donald Trump's life. Nobody but his daddy has ever told him no. Do you think that anybody told him no when the son of Fred Trump went to his fancy private military boarding school? No. Hell, people went to school with Trump back then, say he was a bully. Say he was a bully who wasn't fucking ever checked on anything that he did. He never worked for anybody. he didn't like have to work his way up. The closest thing he got to that was his competition with Roger Stone for the attention of Roy Cohn. And that's the only time that maybe in his professional life he's ever been subservient to someone or had to listen to someone else. Do you know what that does to you? That makes you, mentally, I'm speaking, what it does to you. So now we have this guy as president of the United States, and there is an entire, I don't even say, a block of this country that seems to be disregarding all of these things that he is doing. That isn't just a bad look in general, but it's just existentially bad for us as a country. Last Friday, we went over the whole thing about how he's enriching himself in front of us, and nobody is saying anything because the way he's doing it just happens to not have been written down before. It's never been written down that you can't do this. So loopholes. So the Greenland thing is in the news right now. That's the big story. Greenland. Apparently now we want Greenland. Strategically important. I mean, I've always known Greenland was strategically important, but I thought NATO had that covered. I didn't know. There's got to be something else here, right? It's got to be something about some kind of minerals that, I don't know, Jared told him, hey, the world in 50 years the new gold is going to be, and you can only find it in the Arctic region. Is it something like that? I don't know. But it started out as a joke, right? Like, wasn't this a joke like 10 months ago? Trump's got to take Greenland. And the initial response to that from everybody was, that is absurd. So Trump's response to that is absurd was, yeah, I'm just kidding. And he lets the temperature go down. But he doesn't think it's absurd. He really wants it. So he brings it back now. Months later, this has been percolating for a few months. It kept coming back up. Trump's talking about Greenland again. And we're like, I thought we were past that. So here we are. The rubber has hit the road. Saber rattling is now the order of the day. He's firing off crazy fucking letters to the Danish prime minister. I didn't even know how the system of governance worked in Daneland until just a couple hours ago. I got a prime minister. I don't know. NATO. You know what this is like? This is like all of Europe. All of our allies, all of our friends, they like Daneland. And that's what I call it because I'm a Viking guy. They like Daneland. The Daneland's cool. They're like, yeah, they're cool, man. What? And all of a sudden, Trump is now drunk with power, and he's fucking with one of our crew. They're in our crew. I mean, it's not new for him. He got drunk and started talking shit to Canada a couple months ago. That's what it's like. Imagine all the countries of the world. I used to put it in the form of like a high school cafeteria. All the countries of the world are in the high school cafeteria, but we can't do that with this guy because a high school cafeteria is too well behaved. We got to move this to a sports bar where everybody's fucking wasted and Trump is out of control, because that's the scenario. That's the metaphor I'll use here. The whole world's in this sports bar. A couple months ago, Trump looks at Canada, who rode with Trump. They rode together to the bar. They're boys. Trump looks at Canada, he's like, what the fuck are you looking at? And Canada's like, dude, you're drunk. Calm down. Don't fucking tell me I'm drunk, right? And then that calms down. Trump goes to the other side of the sports bar. He's being surrounded by a bunch of people. Hey, calm down, calm down. They're giving him shit. Here, have some water. Here, drink some coffee. Here, have a pretend Nobel Prize. Everybody's trying to fucking pacify him. He's like, fucking Canada out there. Yeah. Canada! It's Canada! What are we doing? So then, you got to go to Canada. You got to be like, dude, just don't look at him. Don't talk to him, Canada. Just stay away from him. Just stay away from him. So Canada goes and stays away from him. So now everybody gets tired of holding the drunk guy's hand, and they're like, you gonna be okay? You gonna be okay? All right, we're gonna go back and we're gonna go back and hang out with the rest of the world. You gonna be okay, Trump? Trump's like, yeah, fine. Oh, fine. And then everybody leaves him alone. And in a couple minutes, he gets up, and now the drunk guy's walking around the bar again. Fuck you, looking at Greenland. That's what's going on here. That's what's going on here. And it's absurd. He's out of control. We have a mechanism for this. It's called the 25th Amendment. And today, real serious people are talking about it because of this fucking letter that he sent to the head Viking in charge. It's Techno Viking, right? From the 2000s. That's the guy who runs Daneland. That guy's the best. I sent the Techno Viking to my kid over the weekend. I was on my kid's 16 years old. I'm like, hey, dude, do you know Techno Viking? He'd never heard of it before. He's like, no, I don't know Techno Viking. I go, well, Techno Viking is cool. Wasn't that like the first viral video? It's like you guys know Techno Viking, right? All right, guess we got to watch Techno Viking then. Okay, we got nothing but time today. Excuse me. Techno Viking was like the first viral video, I guess. It's like the greatest thing ever. It's just some big, scary Viking looking dude. Hold on. So I don't know where this is. Let's say this is Daneland. Let's just say this is Denmark. So it's a Viking dude, a Viking looking dude at like a street party, and he's walking down the street and he is mean mugging everybody. He looks mad. He's scary. And all of a sudden the techno music comes in and he starts just going for it. Techno Viking. There you go. This is the extended cut of Techno Viking. She hot? I can't tell. Red pants. Red pants, very bold. I've always wanted to be able to wear red pants. I've seen people on the street, dudes wearing red pants, and I'm like, man, I wish I could wear red pants. I would just, I'd look like Kris Kringle on a job interview if I wore red pants. Here's Techno Viking. We got to fast forward to this guy right here. Who is this guy? Well, we know he's the Prime Minister of Daneland. Is he mad? Like, what's going on with him and this guy? Are they fighting? I don't think I've ever seen this full Techno Viking clip. Is he having a disagreement with this fella? Yeah, it looks like he's like, I am Viking, you must go. Okay, now I've got context on Techno Viking. The interaction with that guy is the reason that he's mean mugging. Here we go. Techno Viking won't let that spoil his day. My favorite part is coming right here. This dude, Smithers. I don't know who this guy is, but this guy, like, he's got his water or whatever. He's like, Techno Viking, my liege. He's like that. And he hands it to him upside down. So badass. There's so many iconic moments in this video. The upside down. I have never handed anyone a bottle of water right side up because of this video. He's mad, but he's not going to let it stop him from getting his dance on. All right, so that's Techno Viking. He's the best. That's who Trump's shit posting at. President Trump is now claiming that one reason he is pushing to acquire Greenland is that he didn't win the Nobel Peace Prize. This according to a text message that he sent to. No, he's doing this via text. That, according to a text message he sent to Norway's prime minister over the weekend. He is such a fucking teenage mean girl. Sending shit posts on texts. Jonas Gahar Store. Is that the dude's name? That's the name of Techno Viking, aka Jonas Gahr Store, Norway's leader, said he received the text message on Sunday. An official in the prime minister's office confirmed Monday. So understand that when this letter was first sent, or this text, letter sounds too official. You know, you would expect like a letter to be sent from the United States to the prime minister, official channels. No, there's a text. You up? There's a text that Trump sent the Techno Viking there in Greenland. It was so bizarre that for the first 12 hours of the news cycle, you understand that nobody believed it was real, that it was because we live in this era of AI and propaganda and bullshit from both the right and the left. Nobody believed it was real. They were like, yeah, we can't confirm this, but, well, guess what? It turned out to be fucking real. Yeah. That's how far through the looking glass we are. Now shit that we can't even imagine. Shit that's even way too bizarre for Trump. We don't want to think that this is how this dude is governing. Or this isn't even governing. This is just him fucking with other people who don't have to listen to him. He's just fucking with other countries. Governing is what he's doing in Minnesota. Jonas Gahr Store, Norway's leader, received the text message on Sunday. Here's what some of the text in the message said. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, all capitals. Sending capital scream tantrum texts as diplomacy. Could you imagine Marco Rubio? Because here's the deal with Marco Rubio. I think that Marco Rubio is fairly normal. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's ruined forever. I mean, he'll never get another chance. But he's fairly normal. And he's the Secretary of State. Like, this is his terrain. This is his area. And now he's like, oh, fuck, I got to answer for this text. Oh, God. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8+ wars. Is that true? Wait, the Nobel Prize, isn't that Switzerland? Why is he blaming it? He just thinks all those people are the same. You know, all the countries with the hot bikini teams. That's how he knows them. That's the way he makes a distinction. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace. All right, let's break that down. His message to another world leader, MAGA. I need MAGA to break this down with me because I need you to be on record as being perfectly fine with what the President of the United States just said to another world leader. Let's recap, shall we? I need to take a breath. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, so this is the reason he's mad. He didn't get something. Not the people of America, not, world peace or whatever, nothing considering that. He didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, so now peace is not purely the goal. Peace, meaning war. He is saber-rattling because they didn't give him the Peace Prize. How fucking... He's saber-rattling because he didn't get a Peace Prize. Guys, that's a madman. And that's why the 25th Amendment is being discussed right now by serious people. He needs to go. He needs to absolutely go, and he needs to go now. Because you didn't give me the Peace Prize, I am now going to start an all-out war where thousands and thousands upon young lives are probably going to be lost because you didn't give me the Peace Prize. This is your guy. He's a madman. and he's the president of the United States, and you people still support this shit. That's what I thought. Maddie's like, the Nobel Prize is awarded from Norway and Sweden. Denmark is not Norway or Sweden. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. When we told you back in 2016 that he was stupid and didn't fucking know what the job entailed, you people went, well, he ran businesses. Because once again, you morons think that running a business is the same skill set as governing a civilized society. They are not the same skill sets. That's why we have a cabinet, because, see, the cabinet is supposed to be where the expertise lies. But no, he's a businessman. You know what this country needs? This country needs a corporate businessman where everything is about a bottom line. A civilized society's goal is not to be economically profitable. It is to be a good place for human beings to exist. That is the goal of the civilized not fucking how much money did we make, and we need a guy who ran casinos into the ground to make America profitable again. What? First of all, we're profitable. We're America. We're a juggernaut if we could get our shit together. Let's get back into this absolutely nutty buckets letter that our leader sent to another world leader. Confirmed. This isn't just left liberal propaganda. By the way, you know, the other thing is people who are defending him still. People, and I'm not there, and look, a lot of them aren't defending him anymore, but they are playing whataboutisms. Like they'll post things like, well, I'm not saying it's right, but what about? Shut up. Stop it. Stop it. I applaud you for coming at least a little bit, for recognizing, for at least showing that you are not a moron. I applaud you for at least meeting us in that, 20%, 25%. But stop with the whataboutism. There's never been anything like this. There's never been anything like this. So stop it, please. But I'll tell you this, I don't know. I don't know what to do with the people who now, after this thing over the weekend, this letter to Norway, the issues that this is bringing, the ripples. I told you last week, remember we did the story about China? Xi Jinping, he's rolling out the red carpet for all of our allies, and they are all meeting. Carney in Canada's got a new best friend. That's right. Guess who Canada's new best friend is? China. Hey, guess who also has real strong interest in the security and the mineral resources and all of that of Greenland? China. Yeah, China considers themselves an Arctic nation as well, because China's so big, they probably, they can probably claim anything. But yeah. So now Canada, which is also pretty close. I don't know if you ever looked at the map. Canada's also pretty damn close to Greenland. As a matter of fact, much closer to the United States. Now Canada's buddy is China. More on that later in the show. Carney's out there talking about his new buddies. China. Imagine China's going to start putting bases in Canada because of Trump. Because Trump did that. Because Trump made that a thing. Because Trump saber rattled at fucking Canada, and Canada went, okay. Well, we are a pretty desirable friend to anybody that is the opposition to America, China, whatever. We are super close. I bet you if you hated America, you would love to be our friend because we're right there on the border. And now suddenly we're going to have a missiles and Turkey situation with Toronto. We've always been able to maintain the security of isolationism. We have always been able to have at least the people around us. Not something we needed to fear. But now we've got Canada, and Canada's sitting up there going, these guys are dicks down here, and we're going to be friends with China now. So China, welcome to Canada. China's always had a different relationship with Canada, or Canada's always had a different relationship with China than we have. But it's never been anything we needed to be concerned about, and we do now. All right, let's get back to the Trump letter. So the letter, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Prize for having stopped 8+ wars, I still don't know what these 8 wars are. And if you lay it out and you start showing, then let's go back to Biden. Let's see how many wars we never heard of he stopped too. Let's go back to Obama. Let's see how many wars we never heard of that he stopped too. Stop it with the I stopped 8 wars nonsense. I would say you sound like a fool, but I mean, that's just anything that comes out of your mouth. You sound like a fool. Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8+ wars, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America, Mr. Trump wrote in a message. See what he's doing? He's going to tell the rubes, he's going to tell the morons who just don't understand any of this, and they're just all bought into whatever he wants. Because this is fucking far too complicated for this crowd. People who are willing to wait in line to see him get up and make fun of retarded people. These are the people that he still has in his base. The people who now need to be relentlessly mocked and ridiculed. It needs to be made so fucking uncool to be publicly endorsing this clown. This is where the middle plays a role. This is where the independents play a role. Stop abiding these fools. Start making fun of them. That's how they take the fucking red hat off, because these people are insecure to begin with. That's why they were sucked into this fucking cult. Make it so that they are humiliated everywhere they go. Oh, here he comes with the red hat, everybody. Here he is. Look at him. The great political thinker. Shit like that. Start doing shit like that. They need to be humiliated. They're way too fucking comfortable. And by the way, we've got video of somebody who is way too comfortable and entitled. That guy Jake Lang, the right-wing shit stirrer, went up to Minneapolis and thought, I'm going to get clicks. And then something really bad happened, although not as bad as could have. We'll talk about that. People just don't understand that the temperature is different these days, and we ain't playing that fucking bullshit anymore. Jaws will be broken. Fists will be thrown. That's where we're at. Fucking stupid. Just so tired of listening to stupid people. Just slap their face. Just slap them. Make them do something. They won't, because most of them are cowards, and they're like, you can't hit me. I'm calling the police. And then fucking kick their ass. You're going to jail already. You're going to jail already. That's not what I would do, and it certainly isn't what I would ever encourage anyone to do, but it's how we feel, right? It's how we feel. Mr. Trump also questioned Denmark's claim to Greenland, saying, there are no written documents. See? See what he does? We now have to write everything down. Everything must be codified on paper with pen. Because if we can't point to something that says, well, see, he's going to just do it because loophole, because that's what businessmen do. Mr. Trump also questioned Denmark's claim to Greenland, saying there are no written documents, and adding, the world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you. That's how he ended it. Well, we do have complete and total control of Greenland. We have it through our alliances with NATO that apparently we don't have anymore. Are you guys thinking about this? Like, does MAGA think that the United States military and our defense and all that stuff, does MAGA think that if we pull out of NATO and go it alone, that we're still a superpower? I mean, we still have nukes, but so does fucking India. I mean, we're not. We're not. We are a superpower who everyone listens to because of the strength of our alliances and our strategic placement of partner bases around the globe. That is why we are a superpower. It's not because we sit here with our big bombs going, Elon's going to launch them at Moscow. Which, by the way, I shouldn't say Moscow because that's not a thing anymore. Elon's going to launch them at Paris. Nah, we won't do anything against Paris because I think Melania really likes Paris. So he's going to launch him at the UK. There you go. We're going to fucking go to war, nuclear war with the United Kingdom, who will be able to respond because they also have nukes. And why? Because we gave them to them. We gave nukes to everybody. I guess you can make that argument. But we really gave it to the UK. They were like number 2. The second country that had nukes was the UK. They were working with us on the, the Oppenheimer shit. Guys, this is nuts. This is nuts. I would love to just spend all day talking about football and no. We got craziness going on. All right. Hold on, Maddie. I see Maddie in the chat room. I got to call Maddie here. Got to bring her in. First, let me do this. Yeah, this is the next one. I told you about Canada, right? We got problems with Canada. We talked about this last week. Carney, who is, what is that? The chief Mountie in charge up there. I don't know, was the Prime Minister of Canada. Carney, Mark Carney. Grandson of honeymooners Art Carney. Just fun fact. Spread that. It's true. Don't look at it. Just look at it. Just spread it. Just tell people, hey, next time Canada's in the news, just say to somebody, hey, do you know that that's Norton from the honeymooners' grandson? Let's go with it. It'll be fun. So Canada last week had a nice little sit down with China. They're all chummy with China. And the only reason that Canada is now chummy with China is because, Trump threatened to blow up Toronto or whatever he did. So this is a real problem. Because from where I stand, our economic opponent, not militarily, we don't have at the moment any military opponents because, it's all been an economic war. China is up there, right? We're good with them as far as, the Walmarts. We love Walmarts and everything in Walmart is from China. But as far as, globally speaking, China is our big competitor economically. Russia has a different kind of thing with America. Russia has always just been our idealistic enemy. Russia has a completely different way of looking at the world. And we as Americans have always sort of opposed that way of looking at the world. So you see, I'm trying to draw a distinction between the two reasons that we have problems with the other superpowers, I suppose. And I question whether or not Russia is actually a superpower anymore, but China most certainly is. Our relationship with China is based on money and all that kind of stuff. We don't really hate them. They're not troublemakers. Well, you're going to look at, what's going on in Taiwan and Hong Kong and all that. But my point is, Russia has always been an ideological threat to the United States. Well, China's communist too. Yeah, but they're cooler about it. They really are. China's always been cooler about the communism. Russia's more idealistic. Russia feels, and certainly the power base in Russia right now, the people who are at the switches in the Kremlin, these are all people who matriculated through the communist system. These are all people who had their lives destroyed when the Cold War ended and the United States was declared the victor. We're talking about Putin and his gang. These people are not freedom-loving, Jeffersonian patriots. These people are old communists who still fucking hate the United States and are willing to fuck with us in any way possible because this is the long play. Thought the Cold War was over in 1990? No. This is the long play. 30 years of relentless fuckery by the Kremlin to the United States. And for some reason, if you take that, I asked you, take a 10,000 foot view of this whole situation, they're going to end up being our friends. Russia is going to end up being who we start to partner with. We are going to kick NATO and all of our European allies to the curb. We're going to go against China now because China is getting all the reasonable people. China's been taking meetings with everybody from Europe and all the NATO countries. So this is a problem. United States of America, we're going to be left with our new best pal, Vladimir Putin. And guess what? That's when the Soviet Union wins. That's when they win. And that's where we're going. That's where we're going. Who else are we going to team with? The former NATO alliance is against us. China is against us. Who the fuck are we going to team up with? Turkey? It's gonna be like the worst fucking people. It's gonna be Turkey. It's gonna be Russia. It's gonna be Hungary. Hungary. What are you guys gonna do? Okay, Hungary, you provide the cooks. You guys, what the fuck, Hungary? We're not going to war with Hungary is like our right-hand guy. We're not going to war at all. This is not something I believe that the American people will ultimately accept. But Canada is now talking here. Let's listen to this. This is Mark Carney. He is the prime minister and new best friend of Beijing. He's talking yesterday about his new relationship with China and what that means for Greenland. So here is the guy who runs the country just to our north. Hell, it's a half-day drive from where I am to get to the border of where this guy runs things. Here he is talking about his new best friend's China. And what the fuck does Trump think he is doing with Greenland? Let's watch this. Here we go. Mark Carney.
I'd like to know what Canada is doing to protect the integrity of Greenland. And related, China fashions itself a near Arctic power and with some claims to Arctic resources. So I wonder if you could answer that question, what we're doing to help protect Greenland's integrity, and how do you feel about China's claims, such as they are, to Arctic resources?
Well, several aspects of that. The first, with respect to Greenland, the future of Greenland is a decision for Greenland and for the Kingdom of Denmark. We are NATO partners with Denmark, and so our full partnership stands. Our obligations on Article 5, Article 2 of NATO stand, and we stand full square behind those.
I'd like to know
what
Canada
is
doing to protect the integrity.
You understand what was said there? That was Carney telling the world NATO is still together and NATO still controls Greenland. I don't know what the fuck Trump is talking about. Trump is, at this moment, still a part of NATO. In fact, the United States has an outsized role in NATO, but that can change. And Carney is telling you right here, the rest of NATO is ready to protect Greenland from any aggression, even if it comes from within inside the house. The call is coming from inside the house. That's what he's saying. Could you imagine? I mean, what are we talking about here? This is absolutely insane. Why? For Greenland, something that we already control. We already control Greenland because you see NATO controls Greenland, or at least a NATO member controls Greenland, and they're a part of our whole thing, but that's not good enough. So now we're not friends with Canada anymore, and we're going to have military bases in fucking Toronto with Chinese flags. That's what's happening. I'm not crazy. I'm not a lunatic. I know I sound like one, but that is what's happening, and somebody needs to fucking document it. All right. Speaking of documenting things, I'm going to take a very quick break here because you know me, I like to take a pee. Sometimes I got to piss. But when I come back, I'm going to try and get, if Maddie's still in the chat room, Maddie's got some crazy Epstein update stuff and some other Greenland takes, and she was hitting me with texts, and I'm like, you know what? No. You're just going to say this all on the stream. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a quick break. One more time, I want to thank our executive producer of today's show, Mama B. She got us right. This show has run for 5 years now on your contributions, trying to keep America's head straight. Mama B got us right over the weekend. So thank you so much to Mama B. If you, of course, would like to be tomorrow's executive producer, all you got to do is drop a little something into Venmo or the Cash App to ensure that this kind of talk, rational, in the middle talk, we are not crazy rights. We're not fucking weirdo lefts. We are in the middle, and we are going to take our country back right after I take a pee because I'm a middle-aged man with a bladder the size of a peanut. We'll be right back. That was a quick one. Welcome back to the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. Every day around about noon, we like to talk about the world as it unfolds before our very eyes. We ain't Republicans. We ain't Democrats. We're normal people who look at the weirdos and go, that's a weirdo, that's a weirdo, that's a weirdo, that's a normal one. Thankfully, there are way more of us normal ones than there are weirdos. So this is a place for us to all gather each and every day. Now, Maddie's a new friend, not a new friend. Maddie's an old friend. But ever since the move back, Maddie's been jumping in the chat room and hanging out. Maddie is she's, how do I know Maddie? Stand-up comedy. Maddie used to run with a group of comics. She used to run with a group of comics that I became friends with back in Dallas back in the day, and just popped up. So I've been talking to Maddie again, and Maddie's she's doing great things behind the scenes for this show. Just so that everybody knows, she's a very competent woman, and she's the kind of person that I need, because I'm not very competent when it comes to all of the, dotting of I's and crossing of T's. But Maddie's got takes. Maddie's got theories. So I thought, why not? And we should probably try and do more of this. Hopefully we can all hear this.
Hello.
Maddie?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, there she is, ladies and gentlemen. It's Maddie from the chat room. We're going to do more of this. Can you guys, I need you guys in the chat room though now. I need you to help me out here. And I know that the delay is going to be a problem. You need to tell me, can you hear Maddie? Because I have no way of knowing if I can hear Maddie and Maddie can hear me. I have no idea if the chat room can hear Maddie. I know that they should because I haven't done anything differently. How are you, Maddie?
Good.
So you have some thoughts, do you not?
Many thoughts.
All right, so you and I have been talking a little bit about the Epstein stuff, but I really just want you, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to take a little break. I want you to just regale me with all the stuff that you've been chatting and texting me about, okay? All the stuff we've been going back and forth about. What is on Maddie's mind? New segment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to expand on your Nobel Peace Prize thing, because Trump's diseased mind, he actually thinks Norway and Denmark are the same country.
Well, but I'm not crazy, right? I mean,
No.
the Nobel Prize is not given out by Denmark. So why is he blaming Denmark for the Nobel Prize?
The letter he wrote was to Norway. He just completely got all of the info, facts, and players wrong. Like, that's just how insane he is.
Hey, Maddie, I'm giving you a little bit of a brand here. Do you want your last name out there? Right now, I just got it with Maddie C.
Maddie C's good.
There
you
go. All right. So, first of all, I'm not crazy. Denmark has nothing to do with the Nobel Prize other than being close to a country that does.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. But,
okay. He didn't pass world geography. That's basically what this is.
Well, why? Here's what bothers me with him. He makes these little, own goals all the time. They're minor. This isn't minor. This is real indicative of the type of mental midget that we're dealing with here. So it's not minor. But because, as I always say, he floods the zone with nonsense. I mean, I haven't heard, shouldn't there be 2 million tweets of people going, Denmark doesn't even give out the Nobel Prize? But they don't, because there's so much other stuff. That is, he has flooded the zone with ignorance.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that it's all the misinformation. It's the, let me keep you busy with this thing over here, so you miss this stuff over here. And that's kind of leads us to where we're going to try to dive into, the Greenland stuff, but mostly the Epstein stuff, because there's a lot of things that have been pushed aside that we're no longer even thinking about in the realm of the Epstein entire just controversy, all of it.
Well, look, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while now. And I think this is kind of what you're getting at. Is he gonna break up NATO and go to war with our allies to get us to stop talking about Epstein? Is that what this is about? Because it's such an absurd global play that I don't know how to explain it.
You know what? I have an even more bizarre take on that.
Hit me.
That doesn't even have anything to do with FC. This is what my honest to God take is, and I sound insane saying it, but I can't help avoiding the so obvious, right? I, in my personal opinion, do not think that Trump gives a shit about running this country at all. I think it's a massive cover up for his own personal agendas, which are only ever to further his own personal benefit, his family's benefit, and his financial benefit of all of his associated people. I think if you just simply investigate his personal actions, he does not in any way, shape, or form seem as though he is a person who is even enjoying the process. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about a job perhaps that you just thought was your end all be all job. You know, maybe it was you being a radio host in Dallas, maybe it was you being a radio host in Chicago, and you worked for years and years and years to attain said position. I mean, remember, Trump was teasing the idea in casual interviews and casual settings about maybe one day becoming president of the United States as early back as like the 90s, right? Like with Barbara Walters. Maybe, I don't know, maybe one day I'll run, right? So then he gets real serious about this. Now, I know myself personally that anytime I've ever worked so hard to become the thing I wanted to be, once I got there, I engaged in that activity at my highest and best, but also with a demeanor of graciousness and happiness and joy at being where I was, right? You got the job you wanted. You fought hard to get here. God knows you moved heaven and earth to do it. How much work you had to make behind this. And this man is, I mean, even if you just look at his personal like body language about it, he in no way, shape, or form looks happy, joyous, or in any way, you know, just anything he does. I mean, just even going back to last week when he's telling the guy at the Ford plant, fuck off, fuck you, middle finger. If you worked in a company where where the president of that company showed up at work like that, would you think he was happy to be there?
Well, that guy got suspended. That's where we are in this country, where the
Got suspended, and the union's going to come to his defense, and all the things are going to happen.
As they should. That's why we have unions, because you're telling an American citizen that they can't speak truth to power. That's not just an amendment. That's the First Amendment. That's the first thing that our founders thought was important, that we should always be able to call the president a pedo protector. And Ford Motor Company suspended him. And if there wasn't a thing in this country called labor unions, they'd probably get away with it. But Maddie, you're right. They're not gonna.
They're not gonna. But I'm just saying, like, just look at that. Look at that one. If you only want one specific instance of where somebody's showing up in the public as our president of the United States, he doesn't even look like he wants to be where he is.
Well, let me push back on that. I think this is his dream job, and I think he loves it. I think that you're absolutely correct when you say that this isn't about America for him. I've said this before. Guys like Trump, this is a different part of society, people like Trump. People like Trump are not patriots the way people like you and me are. You want to know why? Because we don't have everything our hearts desire. And one of the most important things that we have is the dream that someday, because we are citizens of this great country, that we might be able to attain all that our hearts desire. Trump and his cronies do not live in that class. They think that America is a brand and a con that somehow their ancestors have been able to master. They do not care about this country. How could you when you have homes in 5 other countries? You think global, you think Elon Musk likes to present himself as an American. I'm an American citizen. He doesn't think of America and what Jefferson and Adams and all of these people put forth to the rest of the world as being any great achievement. He just sees he's a rich guy and that's just a plot of land where I can or can't live. And if I am going to live there, I want to control everything. They're not like us.
Oh no, yeah, he definitely sees the presidency. These people both all see our country as the thing that they can get as much from as possible.
Yes, they're raiding the coffers. That's what
Yep.
Trump and his people saw in 2016. They saw chaos. They saw stupid lefties doing absurd things. They saw how easily manipulated the right could be, and they went through the opening. They said, you know what? Let's just go in there. We can get these morons to vote for us, and then we'll sell. Come on, snake oil salesman, the medicine man, all of that stuff.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. And which is, like I said,
Go ahead. Hello?
things about he has done very little about.
You cut out there for a minute. You want to go back and make that statement again?
Oh, okay. I was saying that only exemplified by the fact that all the things he ran on, all the things that you and I both kind of refer to as the stupids voted him into power on,
Yeah.
he has done almost nothing to affect
No,
change
of course not. He's done exactly what he's wanted to do, which is, this is why, though, if you remember, the first indication that I had that it was going to be this way was at the 2016 Republican National Convention. This is probably just lost in the heaps of nonsense. But in 2016 at the Republican National Convention, I specifically recall the day that the GOP decided and announced to the world they would not have a platform anymore. There was going to be nothing that the GOP stood for at that 2016 Republican National Convention. They were just going to leave it all to Trump. Whatever Trump said, that was the moment where I went, oh, this is trouble. This is trouble. Yeah. And this whole party. And by the way, I got a lot of good friends who are Republicans. I have voted Republican in my life. I am not married to one party over the other. I look at candidates as they come. But the Republican Party is in real trouble. Real trouble. And I'll play some Karl Rove audio later today about how much trouble the insiders of the Republican Party are now freely admitting they're in.
No, agreed. I mean, the MAGA, the 15% that we talk about all the time, I mean, they're not even willing, in my opinion,
it has
to even go back as far.
Hold on, Maddie. It has destroyed the credibility of the Republican Party for generations. That's what they're looking at.
For sure. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, like you know where I live. I live in a red state. I live in a very conservative district, in fact, like one of the most conservative districts. I'm a lone wolf here in my, I guess, liberal leaning ideals, which at the point that we're talking, you almost can't be centrist. I think I'm much more of a moderate, but I think we just are forced in this position to take sides. And unfortunately, I have to be against whatever they are. So that forces me to be a Democrat by default. But you know, the Republican Party, yes, the good average can, just because I want to be more conservative in my ideals, I think they're fully let down by the entire situation. And yet at the same time, they are overpowered by the voices of the extreme right, which are the MAGA.
You know, I've never felt the need to define myself idealistically because I've always felt that was a box I didn't want to put myself in because I'm the kind of person that changes his mind. You know,
sure, you want to be a critical thinker, but we don't have we don't have a right to be critical thinking right now. We almost have to take a stand.
When I was 22, 23 years old, back in the early 90s, I was against gay marriage. I was like, yeah, I don't know. Marriage is like, it's traditional. And that's the way I looked at it. But then as I got older, new information was presented to me. I had a new outlook on it and I changed. We all change. We have to change as new information reveals itself. Otherwise, you're an idiot. If you can't learn. If you can't learn, I guess the scientific definition of that is you're an idiot. You said something else too that I wanted to put a pin in. Oh yeah, I've never felt the need to really define myself before. What I would say that I am right now is I am a progressive moderate. That is how I would describe myself. Because I, like you, am no longer fully comfortable with the middle because there doesn't seem to be any sort of coagulation within the middle. The middle is just there. It's not bonding together. So apparently within the middle, we're going to have to now get tribal within the middle. Yeah. And if we're doing that, then I am a progressive moderate.
It is, quite frankly, a privilege we can no longer afford it. We cannot be middle-ish anymore.
Right,
We're going to have to choose.
Got to make yourself known. You got to start
Okay.
the reasonable Americans need to stop not talking politics, right? That was the play for a long time. Well, I don't really want, it's not, it's de rigueur to discuss such things in, mixed company. No, fuck that, because they're doing it, and now we got to do it. And by them doing it, over attrition of the last couple of years, regular normal people have been brainwashed, listening to their willingness to just fucking spout their political ideology. So now we got to do it too. Reasonable people have to offer an antidote to people who might be eavesdropping. So we all must now decide whether or not we want to fight for this country. And it comes down to us now making our opinions known and calling and mocking out absurdity.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I know whenever I first started jumping on the stream, you used to purport a lot that we had to create an off-ramp, to bring these people back in. And I'm pro it. I'm pro the concept of it. I just don't know if it's possible.
Well, that is really a question that I think, because look, I don't think I'm being optimistic when I say whatever this is we've been going through, it's winding down. Now, how it winds down, if it winds down to a massive explosion and it's the worst thing that ever happened, maybe. Or maybe it just winds down with a 25th Amendment and someone being perp walked out of the White House. I don't know, but it is winding down. And when the dust settles and we become normal again, because my God, we better become normal again. Otherwise, we're in trouble. When it winds down and we become normal again, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just listening to you. Wasn't saying anything back yet.
No. I do believe that this is all winding down, and I lost my train of thought because I just got distracted. Anyway, and Matt, you got anything else? I know you got a lot, but if you got anything else you want to share with us, go ahead.
Well, yeah, real quick, just a per the normal thing, I would just say that I think that, quite frankly, we will not be back to what we call normal from before. I think we will now have what we call a new normal. And I'm more than a little bit certain that this new normal that we will see will be just exactly what you said, which is perp walks, and those are going to be wide sweeping. I think that it's going to be cabinet, it is going to be Congress, it is going to be probably Trump, if he doesn't golden parachute out of here in some kind of way, which I think he is setting up for himself at this point.
Oh yeah, talked about that on Friday. He's got a whole exile plan.
Oh yeah, but so do these other people too, and I think that ties into Greenland. I think it also ties into Qatar, which is what you said before, but it also ties into Honduras, which is why he let that Honduran guy that had imported all those illegal drugs in. I mean, these richies, these billionaires, these people of wealth and means and connection and ties. They've been in on this the entire time.
And again, as I said when we started this, those people hold no patriotism for this country. They will live, if this country falls apart, they will retire to their home in the Swiss Alps or wherever the hell else it is. They do not love this country because they do not need this country. We, the people, need this country. Maddie, thank you. We'll talk to you every so often, okay? You let me know when you have something crazy and I'll put you up.
Okay. Yeah, you wanna do the Epstein stuff? You want to say that for another day?
Oh yeah, you got Epstein stuff. Yeah, we're just running way too late. Yeah, I got to talk about aliens. We got a big alien announcement. Did you hear about this, Maddie?
No, an alien announcement.
Oh
no.
Yeah, you don't know about this? Oh, the Bank of England has been advised. This isn't a joke. This is the kind of thing that used to be in the National Enquirer. The Bank of England has been advised legitimately to have a contingency plan for the economic fallout of Trump announcing the existence of alien life. That's a real story from the Times of London, no less.
The cheese is fully off the cracker. That's just what this is.
All right, Maddie, we'll talk to you maybe tomorrow, whatever. You tell me what you got, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, there she goes. That's Maddie. She's in our chat room. Some of you who have my phone number, and by the way, I see April in there. April, why don't you have my phone number? April, I just realized April doesn't have my phone number. Thank you to Maddie. Yeah. All right. So this is a story that broke over the weekend. Why? Because all kinds of crazy shit's going on in the world, and you can bury a story like this, which probably has global ramifications. Alien life, the revelation by a major government, and they're talking about Trump here. They just don't say him in the thing. The revelation that alien life exists elsewhere is now something that banking institutions around the globe are preparing for. The worry is, of course, this kind of announcement will certainly have some effect on the world's economies or whatever. So they're preparing for it. And again, they're preparing for it because of, well, let me just give you the story. Here you go. This comes to us from, this story is from The Independent. It was first broken by the Times of London. Let's get rid of Maddie's thing. Hold on. Here's Barney. What's Barney saying? Maybe the aliens want to colonize Greenland. There you go. There you go. All right, again, this I'm going to be reading to you from The Independent, but it is a story that I first saw in the Times of London. And by the way, these ain't the Mirror. This isn't the Sun. These are real London, UK papers. Bank of England must plan for a financial crisis. Bank of England must plan for a financial crisis triggered by aliens, says policy expert. Financial markets could collapse if the American government confirms the existence of alien life. Okay, understand, these are serious people. These are not, these are not silly looking for clicks, so they're going to say something crazy and put it out there. This was done quietly. This was revealed on Saturday over a weekend when there's so much global turmoil that it would be hoped that maybe it would be missed. And it was, almost entirely, except for a few of us who have certain alerts and all that. The Bank of England is fully prepared on what happens next, or is at least preparing, I should say. They know that they should be fully prepared for what happens next if Trump goes, hey, you guys want to stop talking about Epstein? Aliens are real. Hey, Stephen Miller, bring out Cyblock from the planet Glorpon. And then, some dude will walk out and say, I'm an alien. Because I don't put anything past Trump. Whether it's true or not, that's the other problem with Trump. I love the alien stuff. This would be disclosure is what we call it in the fandom. Disclosure is all we've wanted, but disclosure that comes from Trump is not credible. We're like, oh my God. This is all we ever wanted, was for somebody, some world government to acknowledge that there is stuff we're not being told. That's all we want. But now we're going to get Trump. He's going to come out and he's going to fuck the whole thing up because no one's going to know whether or not to believe him. I'm not kidding. So the Bank of England, they recognize this. And they're like, all right, if he does this, it's going to fuck some shit up. So how are we going to handle that? They're wargaming for whatever nonsense could come out of the president of the United States' mouth next. The UK must plan for a financial crisis that would be triggered if the United States government announces that aliens exist. Again, this is not the Bank of England saying, well, we all know that aliens exist, and if he makes it public and everybody, all of the poor peasants know, that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is, a lot of people out there think they exist. A lot of people out there think they don't. What if the president says, hey, they exist? What's that going to do to banking? So this is not some endorsement of the idea that aliens exist and that there will be a revelation by a world government. And again, if it comes from our government, can't trust it. And I'm the guy that would be willing to trust it. I can't trust it. Trump gets up. Stop talking about Epstein. Aliens are real. I mean, that is why I think he would do it. I think that's the nuclear option. I guess maybe going to war with Europe, but that's probably a bit messier than him doing a announcement for tonight. The president will speak from the Oval Office. He just says, hey, aliens are real. Helen McCaw serves as senior analyst in financial security at the UK Central Bank. This is who wrote it, okay? It's not a crazy person writing a letter to the editor. Hey, what if the aliens are revealed to exist? No. This is Helen McCaw, senior analyst in the financial security at the UK Central Bank. She's written to Andrew Bailey, the Bank of England's governor, urging him to set out contingencies in case the White House confirms the existence of alien life. And then it's noted here, according to The Times. Mrs. McCaw, who works for the Bank of England for 10 years, said politicians and bankers can no longer afford to dismiss talk of alien life and warned a declaration of this nature could trigger bank collapses globally. Banks. Religion. This is what I always go to when we talk about the alien revelation. If in fact there were some sort of a legitimacy given to this issue. And again, not by Trump. Look, I got to be honest. Obama tells me aliens are real. I'm like, they're probably real. Because why would he? Trump does it? I'm like, oh, Jesus, what's he trying to distract us from now? What? I mean, that's where we are. You voted for this guy. That's where we are, man. I'm not worried so much about the world's economic issues after a revelation that aliens exist. What happens with religion? That's what I always go with. I'm like, what happens with the world's religions if alien life is discovered? If it turns out that there are other things out there living their best life, because look, they're smarter than us. They can get to us. We can't get to them. We can't even get off a fucking launch pad 10 out of 10 times. They're traveling across light systems to fuck with us. So they're better than us. So what does that do to our religion, which is based on the idea that we're created in God's image and blah, blah, blah? Who's their God? Is their God? Is it the same God? Or if you want to take a walk with me on this, I believe they're our God. I believe they are what we have misinterpreted as God, and there's a whole religion that, angels are really just space aliens. That's kind of what I think. Anyway, but what happens to religion? What happens to Christianity? Who was Jesus in this whole mix? Who is Jesus to them? Can they kick Jesus's ass? Is the question that religions must ask themselves. Who's their God, and can their God take our God? See how primal we are? We're like a bunch of fucking monkeys. So that's my big concern about any kind of revelation about alien life. What does that mean? Is this the moment that humanity changes? Oh man, you want to get into some, dude, seriously, I don't have any weed, but if I did, we'd roll one up and we'd sit here and we'd talk about what does that mean? What is if humanity, what have we been around here for? It's the year 2026. So that's when we started counting, right? You got to figure there were a few thousand years of cavemen before we started counting. Anyway, in all the history of man, I believe that we are still primitives. I believe that we, as we sit here in 2026, I know we think we're the apex of evolution and all this, and we are so far. But if we are going to be this, thing goes on for another billion years, well, that can't happen because the sun will burn out. Well, whatever. It's not going to burn out for, a while. So what are we going to be? And are there going to be two eras of humanity? The era of humanity that we here in 2026 share with the cavemen and the pharaohs and the, Caesars. Is it going to be that humanity where we believed in a God and that we were the only people and that, we looked up in the stars and we assigned them, that's Saint so-and-so and that's this God and all that? There's going to be that block of humanity. And then there's going to be the block of humanity that I call post-tribal. When they tell us that there are other people out there, and then the religions are going to look silly. And there'll probably be a whole bunch of new ones or whatever. But maybe that's a thing about humanity. Maybe we are still so primitive. We are still tribal. in the way we deal with one another. Maybe that's what kicks us into whatever is next for humanity. The revelation that we are not alone, that there are other people and they are far more advanced than us. I imagine that would have to be a huge sea change in the mind of the average human being, which, would probably change the way we are. All right. Frank's like, now do the weirdness in the Hindus, Jews, and Muslims along with the Sikhs. It's like, I don't know fucking shit about that. Those are like minority religions, Frank, and you shouldn't know shit about that either unless you're looking to be triggered or angered by something that isn't in line with your Christian reality. I don't fucking know shit about that. Hindus, Jews? Oh, I get it. Oh, Hindus do Hindus. What am I doing about Hindus? Yeah, they're fucked up too. They're going to be like, oh, no more religion. Did you think that I was just talking about Christianity? Sensitive much? I was talking about all the world's religions. What happens when we are forced to confront the idea that we are not special? In fact, we're the fucking retarded kids in the solar system or the galaxy or whatever the fuck it is, because we're the ones, once again, who can't get off the launch pad 10 out of 10 times, and they can travel across light years. Anyway, there you have it. Bank of England preparing for Trump to do the diversion of all diversions, the distraction to end all distractions. All right, now let's talk about a piece of video that went around out of Minneapolis about a shit-stirring right-wing troublemaker by the name of Jake Lang. Don't even want to give out his name, but what the hell? A bunch of these shit-stirring, troublemaking, entitled white kids are descending upon Minneapolis for no other reason than social media clout, clicks, forwards, and subscribers. That's it. They're going. They see an opportunity to eat. I'm going to go there and I'm going to eat and I'm going to get some money for it. And I'm just going to exploit this bullshit to my own personal benefit. And who cares the trouble that I create? Stay the fuck out of it. Bunch of troublemakers. This guy isn't there out of any sense of patriotism or whatever. He's there because he's got viewers on his stream. That's why he's there. So this guy, Jake Lang, he goes to Minnesota yesterday and he decides that he's going to hold a counter protest, which is great. Ill-advised, but okay, whatever. I mean, again, can we lean a little bit into the ill-advised? But okay, whatever. Why do I say that it would be ill-advised for somebody, a far-right shit stirrer, to go and drop himself in the middle of these crazy fucking protests? Because we've seen how angry these people are, and you don't even have the protection of a badge or any kind of federal employment. You're just a shit-stirring troublemaker. And I don't know where you're from, Mr. Shit-stirring troublemaker, but where I'm from, you get your ass kicked. I'm calling the police. What are you, a suburban-raised pussy? All right, call the police. You think the dude who just kicked your teeth in cares about whatever slap on the wrist he's going to get for beating your ass? No, it could be manslaughter. No, it's not. It's never manslaughter. Please. He could have tried to kill me. Attempted murder. Oh, shut the fuck up. People are willing now. People are willing, especially those crazies in Minnesota. Are you looking at those people? Those people are ginned up. They're mad. So this guy decides he's going to go and he was going to go to the steps of Minneapolis's justice or federal building, and he's going to burn, which is weird because a federal building is federal property. Why not just go to City Hall there in Minneapolis? I don't know where he was, somewhere. He was going to burn a Koran. Oh yeah, that old bit's back. Why? Why are you going to burn a Koran? Just to be a dick? Well, we're done with allowing people to just be dicks. We've spent the last 10 years letting people just be dicks and get away with it, and now we're kind of tired of allowing people to just be dicks. I said ill-advised that he went and did this because stupid. Unless you're naive enough to think that the laws protect you. That I'm going to go and do this, and I have First Amendment rights to say whatever I want, and these people can't do anything about it because I've got First Amendment rights. Again, we're through the looking glass, motherfucker. People don't care about that. People don't care about that. This is a mob mentality of a bunch of crazy people. And they are, by the way. A lot of those people up there in Minnesota, they're acting crazy. Screaming. I'm tired of it. It's not going anywhere. And over the next couple of days, it's going to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle, and then it'll go away, and absolutely nothing will have been accomplished from the outrage of Renee Good being shot in the face. Rachel Good? I don't know, one of those two things. Forgotten it already. So old Jake Lang announces that he's going to do himself a... Oh, by the way, we should see who Jake Lang is. Jake Lang is a former January 6er. He was one of the peaceful protesters. He ended up going to jail, as a lot of J6ers were. And then he was like mass pardoned because, he was peaceful. Because, if that was a peaceful January 6th, there was nothing wrong with... So here we got some video, actually. This is the video that convicted peaceful Jake Lang, who did nothing on January 6th. Here's some video. We'll show you this. All right, so here's some video from January 6th. This is what was used to convict Jake Lang. And again, remember, they were all pardoned because, look, whatever you see here, this is not what you see is not what you're seeing. Just know that this was peaceful and that nobody attacked police and all those cops that died were suicide pussies or fat ass heart attack. Remember, these people are wonderful Americans. So Jake Lang participated in January 6th. And if you're looking for old Jake in this crowd, he's the one beating the cop with the baseball bat. There he is. Just keep banging. No, peaceful. Oh, trying to get up. That's him right here. This is him. Peaceful. Back the blue. How dare you protesters in Philadelphia yell at the police? All of that stuff. These people are morons who lack principles or any sense at all. All right, so there you go. So obviously he's innocent and didn't do anything wrong. So he goes to the steps there in Minneapolis over the weekend. This went viral. You may have seen this. He goes and he starts talking shit. He's like, like his rally, nobody turned out to support him. Of course not. Because even people who agree with him are like, I ain't fucking going down there. That's stupid. Something bad is going to happen. Have you no sense, man? So he's there. And of course, the only crowd there are the crazy blue-haired lesbian chain wallet, you suck, ICE is terrible. That's all that's there. So how do you think it turned out for him after he started going, I'm going to burn the Quran, the Somalis, Trump, Trump, Trump? How do you think it went for him? Not well. Okay, so they ended up pinning him in a doorway, like thousands of protesters and him, and they pinned him in a doorway, and all of the coward snowflake right on Twitter and all that on Saturday were like, look at this barbarism. These people are out of control. I'm like, no, I don't think these people are out of control. I think they're pissed, and I think what I'm looking at here is one of you who's just as stupid as the rest of you who didn't think anything was going to happen. I'm fine. I can just go there and do this and yell in their face. No, you're not a cop. You have no authority. You're going to have to walk to your car when this is all over. Are you even thinking about that? About what's going to happen when you walk to the car? A lot of these people here are crazy. A lot of these people here are looking to do nothing but create chaos and mayhem. There is that element, guys. A lot of them there are like, we just have had enough. But then there's also a lot of people there who are like, let's burn something. Let's burn something. These motherfuckers are going to follow you to your car. What are you thinking? Anyway, he basically got dragged into the mob. The video is really funny, especially if you think people get what they deserve. This guy put himself in this position. I'm like, ooh. And all the red is like, the red people, the MAGA, the red hats, they're like, they're going to tear him limb from limb. Well, they didn't. They didn't tear him limb from limb. What they did was they kicked him the fuck out of the square. They escorted him out. And there was a whole bunch of people that were protecting him. Oh, he got his head bashed in. Of course he did. Because remember what I said about a bunch of crazy people out there? What did he expect? Did he think that all of these people were reasonable and that somebody wouldn't throw a rock at the back of his head or whatever the fuck happened? He also claims that he was stabbed. But he's okay because he was wearing a vest. That stopped it. So he wasn't stabbed. So he's claiming that somebody attempted to stab him, but he wasn't stabbed. He did have a big-ass gash in the back of his head, probably from a rock or some frozen beer can that was tossed at the back of his head. Again, folks, he put himself in this position. There are two things happening here. We can have a conversation about the behavior of the violent crowd, or we can talk about why the violent crowd was thrown fucking red meat. He presented himself as red meat and is now pearl clutching and crying about what happened. Why? For clicks. It's all a manipulation. He's a viral guy. He's been a piece of shit, a known piece of shit, since he beat a federal officer with a baseball bat on January 6th. Why are we surprised by this? So anyway, here's some video of him being escorted out. This is Jake Lang. He's being escorted out from his little stunt, his little 90s shock radio stunt that turned badly. He's being escorted out by, of all people, a couple of brown skinned folks seem to be the ones providing security and getting him in his car. Here he is. Here he is. All right, let's just watch. And, depending on your worldview, enjoy.
Hey, go. Let me go. Just go. Just go. Let him go, y'all. Let him go.
I mean, this could have gone Gaddafi. You know what I mean? He could have had as I like to say, a new pocket to store his keys. Yeah, they could have bent him over and made a new pocket to store. Anyway. All right, they're pushing him. Here he goes. Again, it's important to see this because the right would have you believe that he was torn limb from limb and all this. No, he wasn't. He was kicked the fuck out and escorted to safety by a group of people who made sure that people didn't tear him from limb from limb. Look at that. See, somebody chucked something at the back of his head. He's got a big gash, big dummy. They seem to be throwing him into a building, or he's going into the building. I don't know. These are bloodthirsty lions. Why on earth would you put yourself in front of 1,000 bloodthirsty lions and then expect us all to feel bad for you?
Let me go. Just go. Just go. Let him go, y'all. Let him go.
There is a picture circulating out there of him when he was pinned at his most vulnerable, and there is a guy screaming at his face, and he's crying. He's like begging for whatever. Why on earth would he put himself in that position? That's my question. See. Frank says we need to get a vest and helmet for Pugs and send them to Minnesota for clicks. See, I love it, Frank. I love that you're humorous. I wouldn't fucking go. What? No, thank you. I'll sit here in my studio and point out all the idiots. I am not a radical. I am not looking to start any kind. I'm not looking to participate in a civil war. But I will be streaming it live. That's I'll be like the play-by-play guy on the Civil War. That's my hope. Thank you, though, Frankie. Oh, here's Frank. Frank. Jake Lang was also stabbed. No, he wasn't. No, he might be claiming that someone tried to stab him, but he was not injured. When you say stabbed, when you go, I was stabbed, the next question should be, how badly are you injured? And the answer to that question with him is not at all, because I'm not actually stabbed. But nice try, pearl clutching Frank. Oh, he got stabbed. No, but somebody did bust the back of his head open. I saw that. That's all that happened to him. Somebody busted the back of his head open. And he should count his lucky stars, Because why would any right-thinking normal person put themselves in that position? Here's a secret. I don't think he's right-thinking. I think he's got some mental issues. And I bet if you talk to people in his immediate universe, like, I don't know, his brother-in-law, I think you might get some stories about how there's been conversations in the family about how's Jake doing? Yeah, he's not normal. He's not normal, but we now are in an era where we are amplifying abnormals as normals, which is why I do this show for actual normals. Every day since 2021, talk for normal people right here. I told you about this. I was going to mention this, and I tell people all the time, I'm up here. I have a lot of friends who are involved in politics. I have a lot of friends up here in Illinois from, my days here, my days growing up here. I've got a lot of people who are influential with Democratic politics. Now, I'm not a Democrat, never have been. I've always considered myself an independent. But that's okay. Any port in a storm, because, I did this show from Texas for 4 years looking for some support from anybody I could find. Well, guess what? Suddenly, I'm starting to get people who are involved with PACs. Yeah, the same people who fund Tim Pool, same people who funded Charlie Kirk, different people, same kind of thing. But that's what I'm doing here. I'm talking with people. I'm meeting with people. I'm like, look, I do this show. We're coming up on the midterms. And I've been having this conversation with a lot of people up here. I said the other day, I'm trying to get to Axe. David Axelrod. He's probably the most important power broker in the Democratic Party right now. And he's got an office about 5 miles from here. Trying to get to him. Talking to people who know him. Oh, yeah, let's. And in these conversations that I'm having with people, I keep saying, you guys need to look at Georgia. You guys need to look what happened in Georgia. Georgia flipped. Texas can flip. Texas will flip. Texas is in real jeopardy of flipping. And that's not just me saying it. That's Karl Rove. That's no less a source than Karl Rove. The MAGA defection now, there has not been a defection from conservative-based Christian ideology in Texas. Good people will always be the heart and soul of Texas. But there has been a defection of like the MAGA wing, the chaos wing, the we're Christians in name only, that wing. There's been real erosion in Texas. And when you add on top of that, the Hispanics in Texas that just came out in full force for Trump, they're not there anymore. His numbers are so bad in Texas right now with Hispanics because of all of them, not because of his attempt to do something about immigration, but because of the way he's done it. That's the problem. So, I'm saying this to people. Texas is winnable. Texas is winnable. You fucking fund my show. You send me back down there. You give me a bus. We travel the state. We have money for events and things. Let's go. It's winnable. We'll just do a fucking shock radio show that does nothing but make fun of people like Abbott and Cruz and all of this. Let's go. Texas is flippable. Karl Rove on Fox News talking about that very subject. Oh my God. Wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, there's always a problem. I thought I had it queued up. Turns out, don't have it queued up. Well, let's see. So let's give this a listen. After 107 seconds, this is why I had it queued up.
It pings, it vibrates.
This computer, man, does some weird shit. Like there's this website that I use for video and it's always like, a long commercial, but after 5 seconds, it says skip ad. And this computer doesn't let me skip the ad. I can bang away on it. I don't know. Doesn't work. So anyway, Karl Rove warns that Texas is turning against the GOP as Hispanic support for Trump absolutely craters. That's the headline. Absolutely. I added the absolutely. Legendary GOP operative Karl Rove warned the Texans are turning against Trump as Hispanic support for him craters during a recent appearance on Fox News. Hold on. During a Saturday afternoon appearance on The Journal, host Jerry Baker first asked Rove about Trump's unpopularity on the issue of immigration in Texas, which caused Rove to note that the administration's numbers had, quote, actually began declining well before the incident last week in Minneapolis. So they're like, hey, there's been terrible polling. It says that America is really angry about what happened in Minnesota. They're mad at Trump because Trump has been pretending like it's no big deal. America is mad. Is that how you explain, what's happening in Texas? And Karl Rove said, no, actually, the numbers started to drop way before that. Here, let's listen to this. Here we go. All right, here. Sorry. See that? Look, we just waited like 100 million minutes. Here's Karl Rove saying what I've been saying to Democratic people within the DNC here in Chicago. Here's Karl Rove saying the exact same thing on Saturday. Whoops, sorry, we got no.
Now registering way, way below that in approval ratings among Hispanics. How much source of tremendous strength for Trump in the election 2024? The numbers he got, over 40% of the Hispanic vote. He's now registering way, way below that in approval ratings among Hispanics. How much of a problem is that for the GOP?
A big, because this is a variable group whose movement into the Republican column in 2024 helped elect Donald Trump to a second term and helped Republicans hold the Senate and the House. But no, it's a problem, and we're going to see it here in Texas. You can just see the support for Republicans in Texas diminishing, despite the fact that initially there was enormous support for the action in securing the border. These were communities that were being hard hit. Their hospitals, their food kitchens, their community safety, all of these things were being adversely affected by this vast flood of illegals coming across the border. And the fact that the president stopped it and stopped it without a new law. All we had was a new president, but he got it done.
Does this drop in support among Hispanics, Carl, pose problems for Republicans in the midterm elections this year, but particularly one down in Texas? Obviously, we've seen this redistricting, which is expected to give 5 additional seats to the GOP in Texas. But there's some suggestion that the seats, Republicans were dependent on a significant number of Hispanic voters. They may be losing those voters. Is that going to really hurt in November?
Oh, I believe so. Take the district that runs from Corpus Christi to Brownsville. Donald Trump carried the district, but he carried it by 1 point. So if his support is softening among Hispanics, that makes it unlikely that we're going to be able to knock off an incumbent Democrat. Henry Cuellar ran ahead of Kamala Harris by, I think it was nearly 10 points in the district that is centered from...
All right, you know what? I don't care. Blah, 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 blah. Point stands. This idea that Texas is diehard red and will out... No, Trump is changing that. Trump is making that not something that can be taken for granted anymore. And as Al in the chat room points out, we are not that far away from Ann Richards being very popular. We are not that far away from the most famous and important politician in the history of Texas being Lyndon Baines Johnson. Half the shit in Texas is still named after a Democrat. Don't for a minute think that the red and the way it's been and the craziness and the chaos and the cruelty, the absurdity of people like Dan Patrick, Ken Paxton, Greg Abbott, think that this absurdity can go on forever. It can't. And that's the message that I'm trying to get across to people who will listen here. We can go down there. We can win Texas. You can beat Texas. The Dems need to focus on Texas. It's in play. And if you're doing that, how about funding my daily show as an arm of your little political thing? Because if it means fixing the nonsense, let me show you why I think that it can be done. Here's another example. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's Martin Luther King Day today. Happy Martin Luther King Day for you. Hey, by the way, you're not old enough. You're probably not. I am. I remember when there was no Martin Luther King Day, and I remember the big problem about Martin Luther King Day. Yeah, it was a big problem. The idea that you could have a day for Martin Luther King was a big problem for people. Okay, really? Just another holiday. Don't you think he deserves it? No. Oh, I mean, there were songs, there was protest movements. Arizona was the last holdout. Arizona's like, yeah, no, we don't think so. So anyway, Martin Luther King Day's now been a thing for like 30 years, and who fucking cares? All right, don't we have like a Arbor Day? We've got bullshit, okay? So whatever. And I'm not saying it's bullshit. I actually believe it's a deserved day for a great American. I don't think that all of our days of national reverence need to be exclusively for people who are politicians. I think that there are plenty of other great Americans. Let's have a goddamn Ben Franklin Day. How come that's not a thing? But yeah, Martin Luther King, in my opinion, is probably a rank and file American citizen who deserves this designation. So it's Martin Luther King Day. I want to show you a guy who I think can win votes in Texas. Been showing you to him the last couple of days because James Tallarico is back. He's got something he wants to say about Martin Luther King. So here, let's watch this. Here we go. James Tallarico on Martin Luther King Day. This guy is why I would not sleep on the Democrats in Texas.
The worst politicians in America will be quoting Martin Luther King Jr. You can't quote "I have a dream" on MLK Day and then legislate against that dream every other day of the year. Dr. King described what he called the three evils: racism, poverty, and war. What would Dr. King say about 10 million children living in poverty in the wealthiest nation on earth? What would Dr. King say about a maternal mortality rate in Texas, which is 3 times higher for Black women? What would Dr. King say about a new American imperialism seeking to colonize Greenland and Venezuela? And what would Dr. King say about masked men in unmarked vehicles kidnapping people off of our streets? Dr. King dreamed of a world without racism, without poverty, without war. It's the dream that got him killed. And it's the dream that we must make a reality.
There you have it. I'm telling you, don't sleep on that guy in Texas. If you listen to James Tallarico and your immediate instinct is to dismiss him as just another libtard lefty, then you have no credibility and you should never be allowed to make any important decisions. We're not even going to let you know where your car keys are. How's that? Sure as shit going to hide the TV remote from you because you ain't choosing what we're watching. That is a decent person. That is a smart, calm, intelligent, kind young man from Texas. Christian as they come. That dude's like a Bible student. You like, isn't that his thing? He's like, went to Reverend school or something. Texas is in play, folks. Texas is in play. All we got to do is go for it. That guy is a superstar in the Democrat. Did you get that Obama vibe? I got the Obama vibe right away from him. His calm, the way he's just, kind of conversational, but not at all rushed or nervous. Calm, confident, competent. That's what we need. We're done with the guy going, bah, bah, bah. We're done with that. We want politicians who behave like James Tallarico. And let's start it in Texas. But I am still very concerned that the DMC is going to put all the weight of the party behind Crockett. And I like Jasmine Crockett. I think she's a hoot. She is a hoot. She is a fighter, and we need fighters. Jasmine Crockett, I don't know that she can win statewide. James Tallarico can win statewide. Yes, he can. How would you like James Tallarico, the guy we just saw, and Ted Cruz having to deal with each other on a regular basis? My money's on Tallarico. Smart, kind, decent, doesn't seem at all to be fueled by anger or a desire for division the way the other side is. That's what we need. But do I sound like a pussy? Is this me being a pussy? Yeah, Pugs, you're a pussy. What do you mean everybody ought to come together? Fuck them! Well, if that's your attitude, you're the people who, when the pendulum swings back, you're the people who are going to be severely marginalized, because we've got to move on from that. Got to move on from that. We, the fucking people, we need to take this country back. Thank you. Let's, Amy. Amy's in the chat room. Amy's been saying a lot today, and I want to make sure that, it's kind of rude of me, somebody who's participating this much in the chat room. And we do encourage all of you to hang out in the chat room. We've got a nice chat room. People aren't screaming at each other, being mean. Now, of course, that's because we got no listeners, but that's changing. We'll fix that. Tell your friends, share the show. Mention that, hey, there is a different kind of talk show that you can listen to every day. If you're tired of listening to that goddamn stupid syndicated bullshit your local AM station puts on. Oh, I'm here in, Louisville, and I'm listening to some guy on the 82nd floor of some Manhattan skyscraper tell me what my life is like. It's a show for normal people every day. Amy says, during the election, I was just incredulous as to why Hispanic and other people of color would support Trump, because I knew all the stuff that's happening now would happen. At the time, all I could think was, well, good luck with traffic stops. Because, and hold on, she goes on to say, sorry. Anyway, I'm all sideways. Oh, hold on. Today's executive producer would like to chime in. We got to stop everything for Mama B. Mama B is today's executive producer. She got us right. As I said earlier to start the show, we got right. We got right because Mama B rescued the show. So everybody, give her a big hug. Mama B, Sally, says, I'm visiting in Texas watching his campaign spots. Looks like a great guy. Tallarico? Oh, Mama B, he's one of our people. He's definitely one of us. All right, let's go. What else do we have to do here? Hey, did you see this? This is crazy. What's going on with Piers Morgan? What happened to Piers Morgan? Somebody shove him down a flight of steps or something? The dude okay, so here, look, this is what Piers Morgan is, of course, a troublemaker. He's just, he's so unlikable. Where did we first come to know Piers Morgan? How is Piers Morgan a thing? Was he Entertainment Tonight or something? I don't know where we first. Anyway, Piers Morgan just kind of became a thing. And then all of a sudden he had a CNN show. Now, I do know that he's a British man. I know that he was a journalist in the UK, and a fairly successful journalist, because he was a chaos journalist. Tabloids and, all of that kind of stuff. Not credible. He's never going to win a Pulitzer or anything like that. But a lot of people read his stuff because he was one of those. So he comes to America and suddenly gets a show on CNN, and he's just awful. Not awful like the show. He's actually pretty good. He can perform the show well. But I mean, awful like the choices that he makes as far as his position on things. They do not at all blend with America. He's very British. And so it was a complete disaster for CNN. And they had to get rid of Piers Morgan. So they fire him. He gets shot out of America. He lands back in London, got another big show over there because they apparently love him. And he's been doing this show called Piers Morgan something. It's what's exactly like his old CNN show, except now it's being done over there in England. And the only way that I know that it exists, maybe it's a YouTube show. I don't know. The only reason it's very well funded is, it looks like a professional show from the BBC or something like that. So I don't know. But it's like a nightly YouTube show where he has some of the most interesting, we'll call them, guests. It is the let's throw out a topic, have 4 boxes with 4 people in the box, 1 person in each box, all of them trying to out shit post the next. That's what his show is. It's just a bunch of people. Nobody is serious. Everybody is just simply saying whatever their last tweet was, right? That's all it is. So that's what he's been doing. Recently, though, it is interesting that recently he has turned on Trump. Now, I know you're like, well, hasn't he always? He's kind of down. He's Trump's friend. He loves Trump. He kisses Trump's ass. He was on The Apprentice. Remember, that's Piers Morgan was on The Apprentice. He was on The Apprentice. Mr. Trump, you know, he's still one of those guys, calls him Mr. Trump. It's very fucking, ugh. But he has kind of turned on him in recent weeks, where now on his show every night, he seems to be aligning himself more with people who are anti-Trump. Anyway, I don't know what he said. He said something recently last week that was like, oh, Jesus, okay. Piers Morgan is now officially off the MAGA bandwagon. If he was ever truly on it, I don't know. Anyway, he had an incident over the weekend. Here, he tweeted this picture. Here, look at this. Hold on. We'll share the picture with you. All right, this guy. Boop. All right, there he is. See him? There, that's Piers Morgan. He looks like some serious stuff happened to him here. All right, let's find out what the story is. Like I said, did somebody push him down a flight of steps? I don't know. It says here, Piers Morgan seems to be in good spirits despite taking a nasty spill that sent him to the hospital for a broken femur. What's a femur? I don't know. It's like one of those things. I'm like, I should know what a femur is, right? Is this a femur? Is it your shin bone? I don't know what the fuck a femur is. Now I got to look that up. Do I really got to look it up? I do. I think it's a leg bone. Is it your shin bone? That would be my guess. Where is the femur bone?
The femur or thigh bone connects the upper and lower legs. It extends from the hip joint, where it connects to the pelvis, down to the knee joint, connecting with the shin bone and kneecap.
Holy shit, that's like the biggest bone. That's like, oh my God. He didn't like just snap his ankle. He like the top half. Oh my God. Holy shit. What kind of pain must that have been? It says here, the cable veteran, Piers Morgan, the cable veteran and host of Uncensored on YouTube. It is. See, I tell you, it is. It's a very well-funded YouTube show. It's probably making $1 million a year to do a YouTube show. Morgan says here, the cable veteran and host of Uncensored on YouTube posted a picture on X on Sunday of him flashing a thumbs up. We're seeing that while laying in a hospital bed due to the nasty injury. Tubes were wrapped around his body and going into his nose, but Morgan didn't seem too bothered by the whole ordeal. He cheekily referred to his misfortune as breaking news. Get it? Breaking, broken femur. Before walking his followers through a 9-step recap of the events that landed him in the hospital. Those included 1, tripped on a small step. 2, in a London hotel restaurant. 3, fractured my femur. 4, so badly I needed a new hip. He went on to say he'll be using crutches for 6 weeks and no long distance traveling for the next 3 months. He added his final 2 points, New Year off to a crackling start. And he added this, I blame Donald Trump. See, I'm telling you, he's turned on him. The picture was seen 3.7 million times by Sunday afternoon. Morgan has 8.7 million X followers, and many of them wished him well in their replies, while some others made jokes about it. All right, there you go. Anyway, speedy recovery, I guess, to a well-known shit stirrer. Sure, why not? Get well soon. Man, that's a scary injury, though. Like, that's a big bone. That's like, oh, my God. Oh. I don't want to get all dark with you folks, but do you ever just like in a calm moment, just like a calm moment, you're sitting on your couch, you're warm, maybe you got a bowl of chips, you got your little drink there, everything is perfect. You ever just in those moments, you ever just let your thoughts be invaded by like fantasies of, I wonder what the next excruciating pain in my life is going to be. I wonder what because right now everything's great. Everything's fine. But am I going to like, be walking to the car and slip on a piece of ice and dislocate my back? Am I going to be just walking down the street and shatter my ankle? I wonder what my next excruciating pain will be. Well, Piers Morgan found out his broken femur bone. Woo! I would like to think that at my age. Okay, so here's a question for you. Chat room. Do you think you've already felt the worst pain of your life? Or do you think it's still out there for you? Do you think there's one that's even worse? Like me, I'm like in my 50s. I'm like, man, I've done some things. I've shattered my ankle. I've thrown myself through the windshield of a car. I've had them remove a catheter and then they told me to pee. That's number one. That is the worst. That is the most painful experience of my life right now. Happened when I was about 17 years old and I had a catheter inserted and it was in there for a couple of days. And then when they pulled it out, they were like, okay, you have to now force yourself to pee. And it was like a blowtorch. It was just like flames were coming out. The inside of my dick was raw and I'm pouring hot urine over it. Oh my God, it was the worst. So that was pretty bad. And I crossed that Rubicon when I was 17 years old. So now here I am. I haven't had any pain since that has equaled that. I've had other pain. It's not to say my life has been pain-free, but I haven't had anything to equal that. And I wonder if that's going to be it. Is that on my deathbed? Is that going to be, am I going to be like, well, I got my worst pain experience out of the way at 17, or is it right around the corner? This is always a good call conversation when you want calls. Hey, give us a call. The phone number is, what's the worst pain you ever experienced? That is good. That's a good caller drive. That's a good call driver segment. Can't do it anymore. That's not a segment that anybody on radio anywhere would do because it's not, pro-Trump. But back in the day, we could just take calls for the next hour about people going, I once got my nuts slammed in a dresser drawer. Get that for an hour. That's good radio. We're not allowed to have that anymore because of MAGA. All right, let's keep going here. We did the aliens. We did Piers Morgan. All right, let's watch some videos. But before we watch some videos, I got to pee again. So let me go run to the bathroom. Again, it'll be quick like it was last time. One more time, today's show is brought to us by the incredible. Give her a big hug, a big cyber hug. Mama B is today's executive producer. She got us right. She got us right with one drop. I mean, it has not been a comfortable last few days for me. I mean, as far as like, okay, if I eat this bowl of soup tonight, you know what I mean? It's been tough. Mama B got us right, and we can do shows. So thank you to Mama B. She tipped the show. You can tip the show too. Drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. Keep this kind of talk radio going. Kind of talk radio that isn't, carrying water for any singular worldview. The kind of talk radio that wants the normals to have a place. That's what we do here. I'm going to go pee. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go pee. We'll be right back. We got a bunch more. We got to do football. We've got our first death trilogy, our first celebrity death trilogy of 2026 is in the books. I'll tell you about that. And starting a new one. We got a whole new one. So we got to catch up on all of that. Bunch more to talk about today on the Rant. Pugs Moran, tip the show if you can. I need to go take a quick little break. Give me about, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops. All right, here we go. We are back. We are back. Really enjoying, I threw it out there before we took that quick break there. I threw it out there. What's the worst pain? We were talking about Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan shattered his femur, needed like hip replacement or something, happened over the weekend. Not that we care about Piers Morgan, but you get what I'm saying. And I asked, I live in fear of whatever the next big pain is, not little pain. I'm a grown-ass middle-aged man. My back hurts when I get up, the next big pain. The next, like, your whole body goes, you know what I mean? Something that is like, I told you the story about how when I was 17 years old, they removed a catheter and I had to urinate after 2 days of having a catheter. And it was like I was peeing flames. It was the singular most painful experience of my life. And I like to think that at 17, I got it out of the way, but I don't know. There might be something awful. I asked you folks in the chat room, I said, what's the biggest pain of your life? I can tell you a friend of mine. Let me tell you the story about a friend of mine real quick before I take some of your contributions of the most painful thing that's ever happened to you. My buddy Gary, who I used to talk about. I used to do a podcast from Gary's recording studio. What was it called? The Watch List. It was a TV podcast. It was me and Gary and Andy. Anyway, it was a group of us, and we just talked about TV. Anyway, years ago, maybe some of you remember at the Watch List. So Gary, when he was 19, he worked in the train yards. Okay, are you ready for pain? So he worked in the train yards, and his job was to make sure that boxcars were connected properly. So when the trains were in the train yards and they were backing into each other, those big metal things that they slam into each other and then they lock up and then the train can move, or whatever. So Gary's job was to make sure that those locks went through properly. One time there was something wrong with it because it was too cold and you needed to take this hammer and you needed to hit the thing so it would pop up, and he couldn't get it. He hit it and it wouldn't pop up, and he hit it again and it wouldn't pop up. So he looked down into it and the thing popped up and took off his jaw. Just boom! Shattered his jaw, knocked all of his teeth out. He had multiple surgeries. And I'm like, holy fuck. Because, people are like, I can take a punch. That dude took a punch from a train. Didn't knock him out. Did you get knocked out? No, my jaw was shattered. And as I remember thinking, what the hell? I was dazed. So that to me sounds like one of the worst and most painful experiences. Let me go back into the chat room now. Some of you people have dropped some of your painful experiences. Let me see. Yeah. All right, Al's in. He says his most painful was, I don't know if it was most painful. He says super painful. He says, I had my knee replaced. Very painful. Knees are painful. Backs are painful. Ugh, all of that stuff. Ugh. He goes on to say, we're getting details now. He says, they cut the bottom of the femur and the top of my tibia to replace the knee. Cool. Ugh. Mama B says, yes, dislocated shoulder and crushed the ball joint. No! Oh, shoulder's bad too. Do you know what? Honestly, what I think is, shoulder is really bad because you don't realize how much you use your shoulders. Like you think, whatever. No, it's like even wear and shit, and breathing with a shoulder is, you better not have a cold but here's what I think. Like I've broken things, ankles and shit like that, fingers and ribs, cracked ribs. My God, man. If you got cracked ribs, you're going to need to go live in a cave for 6 weeks because you can't be stimulated by anything. Because anything that makes you laugh, anything that makes you yell, anything that makes you cough, ribs, man. Oh, stop. Don't make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. Going to the bathroom. You better hope that you're not constipated if you have cracked ribs, because you're fucked, son. You're screwed. Yeah, no, cracked ribs were the worst. Let's see. What else? What else we got? Anybody else with Oh, yeah. Where's this one? Al wants to talk about testicular torsion. We are your testicular torsion station. But I think the worst pain was when I had testicular torsion and they had to manually twist it the correct way at the emergency room. To which I think that Texas gamer Caleb speaks for all of us when he asks, how does one get testicular torsion to begin with? Yeah, it's a real question. I'm with you. Did Al answer? Let's see. I mean, that's twisted nuts, right? Twisted balls. Guys, do you want to know, speaking of twisted, do you want to know what has to be the absolute worst way to die? And, I think we saw a variation of it this season on Landman. Or maybe it was last season. I don't know, whatever. There was this situation was depicted on Landman. But as I say, that situation was a little bit different. The way that I had always heard about this particular way to die, that sounds like the absolute worst way to die. Do you know what happens to you if you fall into a subway track when a train comes? Do you know what happens to you? Do you want to hear? I don't even want to tell you. I don't even want to tell you. So basically what happens, and again, we saw a variation of this on Landman when some dude was standing on a bunch of oil rig pipes and they all fell and he fell into the oil rig pipes and they all rolled over him. So basically what happens when you fall into a subway track, this is why I see people on subway stations all the time and they stand right by the edge. I'm like, there are too many crazy people in this world. I stand with my back against the wall as far away from the fucking tracks. Nobody is sneaking up behind me. No crazy person is going to be, hey, let's throw the middle-aged white man into the tracks. I ain't allowing for that. So whenever I use the subway, and I've used it my son and I used it quite a bit the other day, I always stand with my back against the wall. I'm like, okay, just let the train come, let the doors open, and then we'll walk, right? But we're not going to stand there on the edge of the tracks looking down the tunnel like, no, thank you. We live in a crazy world. So here's what happens. When you fall between the tracks and the train, when the train pulls into the station, you get twisted like a hefty bag. Like imagine a hefty bag. And for a period of time, you ain't dead. Your head is still there. And they have conversations with you. And they're like, okay, is there anybody you want us to call? Because when this train pulls out of the station, your body's going to go back the other way and you're going to be dead. That is the worst way to go. The train, getting hit by a train. So I'm just saying, be careful. Al's got an answer for us on how he got testicular torsion. He said, I was doing multiple somersaults underwater in a swimming pool when I was 13. I have follow-ups, but the fact that you're 13 precludes me from being all that interested. All right. That's a problem. April says, first bowel movement after my hysterectomy was probably the worst pain. Was about to pass out. Close second to an all-natural childbirth after barely making it to the hospital. Where's my drink? Hold on. See, this is where I feel a lot of us guys need to just shut the fuck up about pain because I couldn't imagine childbirth. I'm familiar with the parts. I'm also familiar with the size of a newborn baby. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. I'll take the ability to whip it out and pee in the snow if I really need to go to the bathroom and a bathroom isn't convenient. I'll take that over I don't need childbirth. I don't need childbirth. Holy crap. Women. Look, I know it's a bit of a cliche. Women are so tough, but no, seriously. I don't know that I could handle that. Do you know that yesterday before the Bears game, it's probably not a great example. Yesterday before the Bears game started at 5:30. Kickoff was at 5:30. It's like 5:27. And I was in the bathroom, and please, if you don't like graphic depictions of humans being humans, just tune out right now. I was in the bathroom like 3 minutes before kickoff, and I'm trying to get to a place where I can enjoy the next 3 hours of the game, if you know what I mean. because I'd been feeling it for a while. Little bubbles, you know, you feel that in your stomach, farting up a storm. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to probably have to have one of these daily movements here. And let's try and get it in before kickoff. Because anyway, it's 3 minutes before kickoff and it ain't working. It ain't working. By the way, I went in there at 15 minutes before kickoff, but it just wasn't working. I'm like, oh, geez, come on. And I started really forcing the grunt, if you will. And I'm like, is this how I die? Is this the chest pains? And it finally finished. I'll spare you the real details, but finally finished. And I had this feeling of, oh my God. And my first thought was, as I looked at my creation as it floated there in the toilet, that's like 1/10 the size of a baby. That is like 1/10 of what women force out the front. Like, it's not even the back. Like, shit's supposed to come out. Shit ain't supposed to come out the front. Well, I guess one thing is supposed to come out the front. I don't know. Women, that is crazy. That is women parts, man. Al says, I had a large beetle crawl into my ear. Seriously, Al, are you just gonna... Al, I had a large beetle crawl into my ear. I was digging in my eardrum at 3 a.m. in the morning, to which I woke up. My friend jokes that it was a dung beetle. I called the ambulance 4 times. God, man. Al. I don't take shit for granted. I try not to take shit for granted. I know we all, we can't help it. A lot of us take shit for granted. I try not to take shit for granted. One of the things that I don't take for granted is that I have been incredibly happy, or not happy, healthy, lucky. Well, I'm also happy. Being happy is a choice. Remember that. Don't think that your climate, your environment, or whatever needs to affect who you are. You can make a choice to be happy. Just be happy. We're all going to die. Know that. That makes me happy. We're all going to die. We're all just killing time until we're all dead. So don't be a dick. So you can choose to be happy. But one of the things that I don't take for granted is that I don't have like a whole bunch of this shit. Like, I don't have a good story about a dung beetle crawling into my ear. And thank fucking God, man. My friends have crazy stories, like Gary getting hit in the face with a train hitch. I got other friends who, all kinds of horrible things have gone wrong for them. And I am blessed. I am lucky. I don't take it for granted. I don't have many dung beetle stories like that. So, Jesus, Al. You're like the schlep rock of the chat room. Everything bad that can happen to somebody is happening to Al. All right, let's see here. What do we got? We got anything else? Yeah, all right, let's do this one. All right. I wanted to take a break before we did this one, okay? So I mentioned this. I mentioned, the tone of the show has shifted in the last couple of weeks. I think a lot of it had to do with me spending time with my kid and talking to my kid and, just thinking about, he doesn't have the same America that I had because of just the shit that's normal to him. And it really made me mad. We had a conversation about some things, and I won't divulge, the specifics of the politics we were talking about. But he said some things that really resonated with me, and I had to consider that, oh my God, this is somebody who has this opinion because of the life experiences during his time spent here. I look at it this way because I know how it's supposed to be. I know what normal is, and this is not normal. And so I am fighting to remain normal. And I'm hearing from my kid, who's incredibly smart. He's very considerate of others, kind, compassionate. He's got all those things. And I'm listening to him, and the way he is seeing the world is, I imagine, representative of his, peer group. And I'm like, man, the shit that is normal for him. One of the main things that really struck me was the difference in the way that we look at the president of the United States. When I was a kid, Ronald Reagan was a big deal. Like, if Ronald Reagan said something, you could believe it. And remember, I've told you over the years, my family wasn't a big Reagan family. But as a kid, the president of the United States was somebody who, when you saw the depictions of people going into the Oval Office and being very, yes, sir, and yes, sir, Mr. President, and all that, it was something that wasn't so much symbolic as something that felt earned by the person who was in there. This generation of teenager is like, yeah, whatever, there'll be another president soon. And it's, it's not, and it's the idea that the presidency isn't important anymore. It's just a guy. It's just some clown doing it for a couple of years. Whoever gets the stupids most riled up is who's going to be in charge. I'm like, wow. So when I say that the show is kind of taking a different tone the last couple of weeks, I think that has a lot to do with it. I think a lot. I feel like, I'm not a rich guy. I'm not a wildly successful guy. As I told you, I put my whole barrel of chips into radio in 1992. I was lucky. I had a nice career in Chicago and Dallas as a talk show host. It was great. I certainly didn't expect it to end at 40 years old and see the entire industry completely change and be something that was no longer welcoming to me, no matter how successful I had been in 2 major American markets. So here I sit now and I'm wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to, I guess if I didn't have this cadre of issues in my head, I guess I could just, go be a sales guy and sell overpriced bullshit to stupid people because I can manipulate people. I can't do that. That would make me miserable. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But as long as I'm given the opportunity to sit here and scream at clouds for a couple of hours, I'm going to make the shit I say be meaningful, at least to me and maybe to some other people. So if there has been a bit of a shift, like the whole anti-MAGA tone of the show lately, it's just because I'm fed up. I was never a big anti-MAGA guy. I always thought Trump was a clown, but I've been pretty consistent with that for years. 2003, I remember having Mark Cuban on the show, and we were all shit talking on Trump because he was a clown. Nobody took him serious. And then all of a sudden he's president and people are taking him serious. And I'm like, wait a second. He wasn't a national punchline? What, people actually thought that he was a serious person? So I've always been straightforward about that. I've always thought he was a performer. But now this performer has been elevated to a position of incredible power. Some might say the most powerful person on the planet. Not anymore. I mean, he's not the most powerful person on the planet anymore because of his actions and what he has done to the office. But, right now he's only as powerful as Republicans in Congress will allow him to be. I mean, if the Republicans turn on him, then it's 25th Amendment time. It's let's go impeachment and all of that. That's what he's desperately got to hang on to. So anyway, I have been going harder and harder. And one of the things that I am concerned about now that I have never been concerned about in 25, 35, almost, oh my God, how many years have I been doing this? Almost 35 years of major broadcasting, major market punditry, if you will. I have never been afraid to say something. Never. I mean, I have used my brain to not say things. And, existing in the world of the FCC, there are certain forms of vulgarity that I knew to stay away from. But as far as having an opinion about somebody who has authority, as far as the idea that I could freely speak truth to power, I had never questioned that before. I question it now. The interesting thing about this is over the last couple of weeks, there have been, if you are one of the Elon boys, there's a lot of Elon boys out there. Oh, whatever Elon wants is great. There's been a lot of Elon stuff about how angry he is at the UK and other European nations are looking to ban Twitter or whatever the hell it is because of this craziness that is happening on Twitter. This unchecked fascism that seems to be amplified and promoted by the mechanism that runs Twitter. That's what's going on there. And Elon is all for it. He's not even hiding it anymore. Elon is straight up posting white supremacy stuff. What great replacement theory nonsense. Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, is trying to convince you that there is a cadre, there's still like some Illuminati that he's not a fucking part of, that is pushing some white replacement thing. It's bullshit, and you got to be smarter than that. Anyway, point is this. I don't tweet everything I want to tweet on Twitter because I'm like, holy fuck. I go, you know what? I am an insignificant nobody. I am somebody that they can easily fuck with. I am somebody that they can just take out. I could go missing, and 22 of you the next day would be like, hey, I wonder what happened to that show I listened to. There'd be no uproar. They can poke me with one of them Putin umbrellas with toxins on the back of it just to shut me up. Not because I'm any threat, because I'm not, but just because we have a guy who is fucking petty as hell, who may decide to just, create a goon squad and let's just shut some of these people up. I sound like a crazy person. But I don't think that I can do what I do now in 2026 and not at least entertain those notions of being visited by the Secret Service or of, somehow having, being surveilled somehow. All of my emails, not that I talk to anybody, although I have been talking to Democratic operatives lately. So maybe I'm, who knows, whatever, fuck with me. The point is, I have nothing. I have nothing except for who I am as an American and what I thought this country was. And maybe this is now a moment where people who have nothing should go all in and not worry about visits from the Secret Service. Like this, there's a woman on Twitter. And this upsets me because she tweeted the exact same thing that I tweeted. Now, I didn't see her exact tweet, so I don't know the wording of it. But I know that it concerned the future American Nuremberg trials. I brought it up myself. I said, boy, I wonder where they're going to hold our version of the Nuremberg trials that are coming. Not because they should or not because it's, something we'll all agree on, but it's coming because the pendulum always swings in the other direction and there will be accountability. The people who rush into power because of the environment that has been created by MAGA, the people who rush into power will absolutely get their pound of flesh. And there will be trials. There will be. I believe this. I'm not calling for it. I'm looking at the future and I'm going, yeah, that's probably something that's going to happen in the next 5-10 years. So I've posted about that. It'd be interesting, Nuremberg trials. So anyway, this woman, and by the way, she is far more popular than me, although she doesn't have millions of followers, but she is popular on Twitter. This woman posted the very same thing about Nuremberg trials coming to America, right? Jamie Bunkovitz is her name, okay? This is what happened to her on Friday because she tweeted something about accountability and Nuremberg trials coming to America. All right, watch this. This is, by the way, and I want to, before you watch this, I just want to tell you all, this Secret Service officer is a credit to the profession. This Secret Service officer, the way he speaks to this woman, he didn't just go, hey, I should go fuck with her. This person was told, today, here's what you're doing. You got to go chase down these. This woman posted this thing. The federal government is sending feds, and in this case, the Secret Service, to question you about your tweets. Again, thankfully, we have things called Ring doorbell cameras that can help us with this, but here you go. Watch this. Here, this is the Secret Service agent. You're going to hear Jamie Bunkowitz on Twitter. This happened Friday.
Well, you don't.
You don't want to perceive any ill will towards these people, let alone what you're saying.
Yeah, I want to see your trials.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. Do you go to a lot of the any demonstrations at all or things like that?
Why do you want to know that?
I'm just curious. For certain questionnaires we have to ask. I'm sorry to get the phone.
Sorry. I don't want to answer that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Do you have any weapons in the house at all?
No.
Just curious. Okay. Have you traveled to any
Why is any of this any of his business? This is an American citizen with a Twitter account who simply said she was fed up. She didn't, the first thing he asked her, and I guess it was cut off, he asked her about the tweet and did you wish any ill will towards the people that were going to be on trial? And she said, no, I was just posting about the trials. And he's like, okay. Do you go to any demonstrations? Are you one of them? This is very uncomfortable for anybody that loves America. But you allowed it. This is a woman, a fucking soccer mom.
any functions, Democrat, Republican, any sides? Any kind of rallies or anything like that?
I just answered that question.
Okay.
So I
You don't want to talk? Okay, fair enough. Okay. Anything else you want to tell me about any other statements at all?
No.
Okay.
What do you consider crossing the line on social media?
It's a very good question. I mean, so technically, obviously, you have freedom of speech, right? Everybody has that.
Mm-hmm.
Crossing the line is when you're going like a direct left. Like,
Can I also? I'm sorry. Let me just interrupt for 1 second because who gives a fuck what we crossing the line? There should be no line. We should all be raised by good people who instill where the fucking line is. It shouldn't be something mandated by a government, but okay, here we are. Assholes are running amok, so we've got to have some sort of governmental line. Let me just say this, though. I love this guy. I think his demeanor is great. I think his energy is great. He's not being confrontational. It's very scary and inconvenient to suddenly find a federal agent on your doorstep. But what is with the attire? Well, I thought feds used to wear suits. They used to look good. They used to look impressive. This guy is dressed like he's wearing the Sears John Fetterman collection.
Or statements like that, right? So those are obviously different threshold, you know what I mean? And we usually present those to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Something like this, veiled threat, it's you know, is it a threatening nature? Now that I know that you didn't mean anything by it, it's basically a non-issue, right? So it'll basically end here. I'll go back, write my report. You know,
Okay, so what can I do about the people on social media that threaten me in my home?
I would write to the local police and make a report. Any other suggestions on that? Are you being threatened by other people?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Okay. No.
All the time, but I'm not going to shut up.
No, and again, you have the right to say that as long as they're not threatening nature.
Yeah,
right?
I've never said anything about killing anybody.
So again, what you meant with this was, again, tell me one more time.
Like the trials, the Nuremberg trials. Like, when all this shit is over, I want to see all of them go to trial. And I want it to be televised. So I can watch it.
Okay. All right. That's all I'm looking for. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for your time.
All right, guys. Good job. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good one.
All right. Hey, you know, again, I don't have any issues with our career Secret Service guys. That guy's he's probably been a Secret Service agent since Bush, right? or Obama. Well, it doesn't matter. He's just a guy serving this country who now finds himself being ordered to go knock on people's door about tweets in America. Now, how do we balance this with what I told you earlier about Elon's huge complaint about how this is happening in the UK? People are being arrested in the UK for shit that they are tweeting. Elon's got a big problem with that. But in America, we're doing the same thing. But I guess if you only listen to Elon and you don't know about what's happening here, you're very upset about this. Frank, get the fuck out of this country. Seriously, what is this? Frank, affluent liberal woman. Frank, you're broken, man. I'm sorry. Frank is broken. There's nothing we can do with that. Frank is broken. He sees that and he sides with the authority who is overstepping. Frank sees that, and because the woman is a Democrat, he sides with the authority. God, the fuck, Frank? Jesus, fuck, this is why Frank has voted MAGA 3 times. Jesus, man. I still love you, Frank, but fuck. All right, let's keep going now. Let's do this. We need a little bit. Oh, wait, here's a fun video. We can show this video. I like this video. This comes to us from Minnesota. This is an ICE agent who is hassling somebody. And the give and take, the back and forth, just very entertaining because the ICE agent is like, hey, vato, show me your papers. And the guy is like, what? You have an accent. Hey, man, what do you mean? Seriously, the fucking ICE agent sounds like he should be asked for his papers. And the dude that he's fucking with is like, dude, what about you? You've got an accent. This is the madness that we're being forced to accept as normal. Here we go. This is out of Minnesota. ICE agent with an accent, an ICE agent, obviously from another country.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork?
Because of your accent.
Because of your accent. I'm asking you for your paperwork because of your accent. Sounds like every one of fucking Adam Rayna's uncles. That's what he sounds like. And he's a jackbooted fascist thug fucking with other people who have accents.
Hey, Steve, you have an accent too.
Where were you born, sir?
Where were you born at?
Put your hands behind your back.
All right, and there we go. No explanation needed. Now, granted, on the accent scale, I will say that the person being detained has a much thicker accent. That cannot be denied. But the idea that... One more time.
Why are you asking me for my paperwork?
Because of your accent.
Hey, Steve.
Because of your accent.
You have an accent too.
Where were you born, sir?
Where were you born at?
All right, that's where we are. That's the fuck where we are. It's absolutely nuts. All right, let's see here. All right, so here's some fun stuff. You know me, I'm obsessed with death and death trilogies. I believe that celebrities, they die all the time. They do, and we all like to think the best of them. Oh, that guy who played that character in that movie, all that stuff. So anyway, celebrities die in threes. That's been noted. Look it up. Celebrities, for some reason, they die in threes. Now, what do you mean die in three? Well, the parameters of this thing is that they have to die within 10 days of each other. 3 celebrities who die within 10 days of each other become a trilogy, and they spend the rest of their lives together in a timeshare in heaven. That's how it works. Doesn't matter what kind of celebrity. If another celebrity dies within 10 days, you go into the celebrity wing of heaven, and you spend the rest of your life. Now, I started doing this a couple of years ago, just as a little hobby, just for fun, because I always wanted to know what the real, I'm like, this is a real spectrum kind of thing. I don't think I'm on the spectrum, although maybe. I don't think I'm on the spectrum. I just think I have spectrum-like qualities because I was raised an only child. At least that's what my therapist thinks. My therapist is like, you're not on the spectrum, but here you do have these qualities. Anyway, point is this. I've created a list because I absolutely want to know who I want the order, right? I want a proper order. I don't want, this person's in a death trilogy with this person. I want to be able to go, no, not really. This person starts a new trilogy and that one's the last one of the previous one. I needed some kind of accounting. So I started doing the death trilogy thing, right? I got a little Google Doc, goes all the way back to 2023 is when I started this. Although if I'm being honest, I gave up in 2023. 2024 is complete. 2025 we just did on the live stream, and now we're doing 2026 as well. So it took a while to get our first dead celebrity of 2026. We are here on the 19th day of January, and the Wayne Osmond Award winner, I believe it took, 10 days to get to the Wayne Osmond Award winner? What is the Wayne Osmond Award? Wayne Osmond had the coolness to die like within minutes of the clock striking midnight on January 1st, 2025, he kicked down the door of I am, without a question, the first celebrity to die. And yes, I would have preferred it be a bigger celebrity, but whatever. He was in the Osmond, so Wayne Osmond is now the name of the prize that we give to the first celebrity who died. So who was that this year? It took 10 days and we finally got one, a big one. We had a couple of hockey guys die, but hockey's a regional sport at best, and they certainly can't be used to be the cornerstone of 2026. The cornerstone of 2026, the first celebrity died, passed away on the 10th day of January, Grateful Dead founder Bob Weir. Bob Weir. Told you about him. He died on the 10th. On the 13th, 3 days after Bob Weir of the Grateful Dead died, we lost Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert. See, now this is interesting because Scott Adams and Bob Weir, they got to spend eternity together. They share a bathroom. They got to spend eternity up there. I don't think they're going to get along. I don't think Scott Adams is going to, be down with the whole Grateful Dead guy, but whatever. So whoever was going to be the third was going to be very important. I had been holding out hope that it would be a motherly figure, somebody that can be like, you boys, they'll stop acting up, somebody like that. Maybe a Florence Henderson. She already dead? I don't know. She'd have been a good one for in between Bob Weir and Scott Adams. We didn't get that. What we got was on the 17th, former Major League Baseball great Wilbur Wood. Wilbur Wood died on the 17th. So the very first death trilogy of 2026 is in the books. It's Bob Weir on the 10th, Scott Adams, cartoonist, on the 13th, and Major League Baseball star Wilbur Wood on the 17th. Now, who's Wilbur Wood? Wilbur Wood is probably the greatest knuckleballer in the history of baseball. Let me tell you how good Wilbur Wood was back in the 60s and in the 1970s with that stupid knuckleball. Do you know what a knuckleball is? I was a catcher. I can tell you all about the knuckleball. It's the biggest nightmare in the history of baseball. It is a ball that doesn't spin. It doesn't rotate. You can't judge it. If you're trying to catch it behind the plate, you can't. It's hard. A knuckleball is a really, really slow pitch that doesn't have the lace rotation. Why is that important if you're a batter? Because batters are looking for the lace rotation. It's what catches their eye. It's how they time it. It's how they swing it. When they don't have that coming at them in red laces spinning like that, it's harder to hit. And that's why knuckleballers have always been successful. Not in great abundance, but whenever they're out there, whether you're Charlie Huff, Tim Wakefield, or in this case, the great Wilbur Wood. Let me tell you how good Wilbur Wood was. Wilbur Wood was a relief pitcher back in a time when relief pitchers weren't really all that important. They were called firemen is what they were known back in the day. And he was the best fireman of the era. He would come in and he'd throw that junky ass knuckleball and he'd retire the side and the team would win. He set a record. He set the early record for saves, like before saves were like a big thing. Because you have to remember, back then they expected you to start the game and finish the game. So here's how good Wilbur Wood was. After the first 5 or 6 years of his career being the best reliever in baseball, they decided to turn him into a starting pitcher. So they moved him into the starting rotation. And one of the cool things about him being a knuckleballer was that he was allowed to throw every second day or every third day. Whereas regular starting pitchers, they have to wait 5 days because of the wear and tear on the arm, the rotation. Wilbur Wood threw a ball that they were like, you can pitch tomorrow, right? He's like, yep. Wood proceeded to lead the American League in games started from 1972 to 1975, starting a career-high 49 games in 1972. That season, he also recorded a career-high 376 and 2/3 innings pitched, breaking the live ball era record of 376 set by Mickey Lolich of the Detroit Tigers. He won 20 or more games. He was a 20-game winner. 20 or more games for 4 consecutive seasons, leading the AL in 72 and 73 with 24 wins. In 73, Wood also matched the 1916 record of Walter Johnson of a pitcher to win and lose 20 or more games in a single season. Wood was an all-star in 71, 72, 73, and 74. Wilbur Wood. That's our first death trilogy of 2026. Bob Weir, Scott Adams, and Major League Baseball freak show knuckleballer Wilbur Wood. Don't start with me. I'm always going to put baseball guys, especially classic baseball guys, that modern baseball fans have no idea who they are. Wilbur Wood gets in. He was a thing. He was a phenomenon. All right, now I also told you that we're kicking off a whole new Death Trilogy. We've got it. Announced. Dead today on the 19th. Fashion designer at the age of 92, Valentino. Is he Italian? I don't know. Let's get a look at this guy. I don't even know who he is. He's not so. I mean, I do know who he is. Like I know that. Oh yeah, that's a name that expensive rich people probably wear. But he's not like Hugo Boss or Armani or anything. I mean, I think in some circles he might be higher than that. And the only reason I think that is because I, a dirt poor working class guy, I am more familiar with those other names. So maybe it's not that he's not successful. It's just that he doesn't waste his time with po people. So we don't even know Valentino. See what it says. Lying in state. He's going to be lying in state in Rome on Wednesday and Thursday. And then they expect a national funeral on Friday. This dude's a big dude in Italy. He's a big dude. It says here, iconic fashion designer Valentino, usually known simply by or Valentino Garvino, usually known simply by his first name, has died at the age of 93. His death comes 4 months after the passing of 91 of the other grand old men of... Hold on. His death comes 4 months after the passing at 91 of the other grand old man of Italian fashion, Giorgio Armani, on September 4th. All right, there you go. All right. Yeah, we know Armani. And we know, I've heard Valentino. Let's see here. Valentino passed away peacefully in his Roman residence, surrounded by the love of his love. It doesn't matter. He's a fashion guy. All right, there you go. Fashion guy. So we've got the second Death Trilogy of 2026 all starting up. All right. Very good. All right, let's do some football. Why not? Why the hell not? Big football weekend. We, of course, what are we down to? The final four? We got 2 teams remaining in the AFC, 2 teams remaining in the NFC. It is championship weekend upon us. Sadly, my Chicago Bears are not involved, but that's okay. A couple of months ago, I would have never have thought it was even a possibility, but here we are, so I'm okay. I also have to say that after my Chicago Bears lost to the Los Angeles Rams last night on Sunday Night Football in front of a big national audience in a frozen city, my city looked good. Gotta say, my city looks good frozen. All the lights and everything look very pretty. It's cold. Don't want to be out there, but, still pretty. Bears lost. Bears went home. Overtime. There was just... So what? We lost. You see that Caleb throw? I mean, really, that's how we Bears fans feel. Like, yeah, we lost. We figured we were going to lose. Our fucking defense is garbage. Although our defense played really well yesterday. Got to give our defense credit. Our defense played well. But we're all okay with it. Again, we beat the Packers. We kicked the Packers out of the playoffs. And then we got kicked out of the playoffs. And a whole bunch of Packer Nation, they were going nuts on Twitter. Bah, Caleb sucks. Bah, all that stuff. Which we Bears fans love to see, because that means it still hurts, doesn't it? Green Bay, you're not healed yet. It's been a week. You're still hurt. It's all right. Does it drive you nuts, Green Bay, that we, the Chicago Bears, got kicked out 1 week later, and we're like, God, that was fun. That was a good season. We didn't expect that. Anyway, keep crying, Green Bay. Keep crying. Yeah, and I'll go back to that throw. That I don't know what to say. Caleb Williams, 4th and 4, game on the line again. He just chucks it up. He threw it, Judge. He threw it. No. Yes, that was a chaos play. Yes, and there was luck involved. There's always luck involved in football. I mean, there's also unluck involved in football. I mean, we had 6 dropped passes, one of them in the end zone that would have been 7 points right there on our first drive. It was cold. So on that play on 4th and 8, I wish I was recording myself, because Or not 4th and 8. 4th and 8 was the week before. Oh yeah, 4th and 8 was the week before when it was the, season on the line, got to make an incredible throw that nobody's ever seen before. And he makes the throw and everybody spends a week going, we've never seen a throw like that before. And then cut to last night, 4th and 4, same kind of thing. And now we're saying we've never seen a throw like that before. But we're all stupid and pretending like we didn't just see it the week before. And those of us here in Chicago, we're here to tell you we've seen it all season. And if truth be told, we saw it last season too. This is not luck. This is just what he does. Can we explain it? No, we cannot. But luck is something that happens just every now and again, and you can't account for it. This happens every time we need it to happen. That ain't luck. That is just something. Caleb Magic, he's a warlock. I don't know. You want to keep telling me about completion percentage? Fuck you. We are happy with our guy, and he's only in his second year. So anyway, that throw, 4th and 4. My reaction to it, I'm watching it. And even after all of this time, I'm like, well, I guess this is it. Right? And then suddenly he's backpedaling like 20 yards. By the way, that was a 14-yard touchdown pass. In the books, that is a 14-yard touchdown pass because he dropped back 30 yards. Like he ran backwards 30 yards and then threw it 14 yards to the end zone from the line of scrimmage. Anyway, crazy play. Good for him. He's a nice kid. I hope he continues to develop. One of the things we here as Chicago Bear fans don't have to worry about anymore is the question of, do we have a quarterback? Because we're pretty sure we got our quarterback and we got our coach. So let's go onward and upward. We're good. Here. So we'll watch. There's other things I want to talk about here. I'm not even going to show you that throw. I don't know. Look, I will say that one last thing that I will say about actually here, you know what? Maybe you didn't see the throw or whatever. Maybe you did see the throw. My reaction to it, I should say, I guess I didn't really describe my reaction to it. My reaction to it was absolute gobsmack. That's all. Silence. My son immediately texted me when it was over. He immediately texted me after that throw. What the hell is going on with question mark, right? We're like, I responded to him. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. What are you supposed to say? Never seen anything like that with such regularity. Here it is. For those of you who didn't see it, this is the latest throw of the year from Caleb Williams, quarterback of the Chicago Bears, who, by the way, still sucks. Just, you're on Twitter. There's still people who are like, oh, this guy sucks. You'll never win with him. Completion percentage, to which I say completion percentage has never been one of the metrics that people use to say a quarterback sucks. What they typically are going to use is things like, yards per attempt, touchdown to interception ratio, and do they win? But now the reason the Bears should move off of the Caleb Williams is because of completion percentage. Meanwhile, he's out here doing shit like this 9 times.
Command in motion. Williams drifting. Sprint.
See, like right here, this is very important. He is not running back in panic. He knows he's got one of the strongest arms in football. What he's doing is he's trying to run back to give him just a couple of seconds to stop, plant, and fire. That's it. He knows where, in a situation like this, he's got a couple of outlets. They practice this shit. It's a chaos play. Cole Kmet knows where he's supposed to go. Luther Burden knows where he's supposed to be. He's also open. It's a chaos play. Is it luck? I don't know. We got a quarterback who can stay safe long enough to get planted and then use a fucking cannon of an arm to complete the pass. Is it luck? I don't know. It definitely looks good. So right here, all he's trying to do is just stop and plant and fire because he knows he's got 2 guys who are now moving to a preordained location in the end zone. Here we go. Watch it one more time. But it's luck if you're a Caleb hater. He just chucked it.
Command in motion. Williams drifting, sprinting for space, in all kinds of trouble, putting it up for grabs to the end zone. He got it for the touchdown. They've done it again!
All right. So
Williams, drifting.
I can bore you all with it. Look, season's over. You're done. You're not going to get any more of that, right? We're done. There was one though. There was a really cool angle that I did want to share with you because it's somebody on the field. Let me see if I can find that. Somebody in the corner of the end zone, right where Cole Kmet was. You see him when he catches it, and then he does his baseball swing that he always does when he scores a touchdown. He's looking at somebody when he does that baseball swing. We have the angle from that person, and it's a really cool angle of the catch. See if I can find it for you. Maybe I don't have that angle handy. Oh, no. Yeah, here it is. Okay, check this out. Okay. You know what this is? This is NFL reporter Stacey Dales. This was Stacey Dales, who was in the end zone. She just happened to be filming, and this is what she captured. Stacey Dales from the NFL Network. Check this out. To catch it. You're just sitting there. Okay, gotta be honest with you too, folks. And I said this to my son when we talked after the game. I said to him, I go, you think you would have caught that? He's like, oh, it was right there. I would have caught that. And I'm like, dude, I totally wouldn't have caught that. I would not have caught that. I know it looks easier said than done. Have you ever, a couple of times in my life, I've had it was the Bears and we did it with the Cowboys too. I have had the opportunity to try and field a punt from an NFL kicker during an NFL training camp. Yeah, I've done it. I've never made a successful catch. They put it up there and it comes and you think you got it and you think it's easy and then it hits you like a ton of bricks and it bounces and so I think if I'm being honest, I think I've had like 2 or 3 attempts at it. I've never been able to field cleanly an NFL punt that was kicked to me. Maury Buford was one of the guys who kicked to me. Maury Buford was a punter for the Bears. And who was the other guy? It was a guy with the Cowboys. He's kind of a name. I can't remember his name though. Anyway, whatever. I wouldn't have caught that catch, that pass. That's just too far. I'd get too nervous. Like at the last second, I'd be like, ah! Well, I'm not an NFL wide receiver or tight end like Cole Kmet is. All right, some other big things happened in football. Let's talk about the Kelly method. The Kelly method of picking games based on nothing more than the strength of one mascot versus the other, right? So we had the Bears taking on the Rams, and the Kelly method said that if a Ram and a Bear met in the home, the Bears were home. So if the Ram wandered into the home of the Bear, which would be the Bear Den, what do you think would happen? Pretty sure the Grizzly Bear would be eating goat steaks for the next couple of days. So we took the Bears over the Rams. That was wrong. Over in the AFC, we had the Bills, the Buffalo Bills, and the Denver Broncos. I believe we took the Broncos, right? That one was right. We took the Broncos. So we got that one. There's the one. The other 2 games, you had the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. We, the Kelly method, said that the 49er has a weapon and the Seahawk is just a bird. So the 49er is probably just going to point his gun and shoot that bird. We were wrong. Seahawks defeated the 49ers. And then, of course, in the AFC, you had the Texans, the Houston Texans, traveling to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots. I believe we went with the Texans there because of, a Texan is thought to be a cowboy, right? A cowboy from, let's put that in its proper time place, 1850s, 1860s, 1870s. So that's the cowboy, that's a Texan. Or the Texan, I suppose, could also just be a normal Texan. A normal modern guy with a Texas driver's license who has residency in Texas. That we call them Texans. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. At any rate, both of those 2 choices, whether it's the cowboy from the 1870s or the guy who lives in Burleson today, they are both fucking strapped with weaponry that is at least 100 years more modern than the stuff the Patriot Minuteman would be using. So I went with the Texans, and that, of course, was also incorrect. 1 for 3. Not great. Not great. So we'll see. We'll see if we can right the ship here in the this week. We'll do the picks, and then we'll do the Super Bowl, whatever. At this point, we're just filling time with this bit. But 1 and 3, not great for the Kelly method. Not great at all. Buffalo Bills, as I said, the Buffalo Bills lost to the Denver Broncos. The Buffalo Bills going through some things. Josh Allen got in front of the press on Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night after the Buffalo Bills lost. Josh Allen did this.
It's extremely difficult. I feel like I let my teammates down tonight.
Your emotions, you normally aren't this emotional.
All right, there you go. Anyway, Josh Allen taking responsibility and crying. He's got to be gone, right? Like he can't play in the NFL. That's obviously not something that a quarterback crying, not in control of his emotions. You're going to put, do you know how expensive an NFL franchise is? You're going to put your franchise in the hands of a guy like that. My God, that is the most beta cuck behavior that I've ever, fuck you. I'll ride with Josh Allen anywhere, anytime. That son of a bitch is probably the best quarterback of this era. Oh, I know. There are some Patrick Mahomes guys out there. I'll ride with Allen. Allen's got that clutch gene that I love. I know Mahomes does too. But Allen, if we're being honest, I also, I prefer Joe Burrow. I'm a Joe Burrow guy. But Allen, seriously, and nobody said that about Josh Allen. Not a single person, none of your MAGA nonsense, no right-wingers who were there lining up to tell us that Caleb Williams would be a bust because in his final college game, he jumped into the stands and hugged his mom. And then they say he cried, but we don't know that he was crying because Caleb's head was in his mom's nape of her neck. You didn't see what he was doing. You just went, he's crying, and that's why the black kid will never be a leader of men. Say the same thing about Josh Allen. You won't, because it's nonsense. Because passion and anger. Just 2 weeks ago, when the Chicago Bears were down to the Green Bay Packers, there was all kinds of sideline video of Caleb Williams rallying his team, successfully, I might add, rallying his team to not give up. He's in their faces. He's screaming at them. And what did all of the people say? Another example of why Caleb Williams can't be a quarterback. You never saw any of the greats yelling at their players like that. Cut to a 10-minute sizzle reel of Tom Brady dressing everybody down over the course of 10 years. So please, spare me with what you know to be proper behavior for an NFL quarterback. Josh Allen's one of the best to ever do it, so shut your mouth. I want my leader to be that emotionally invested in whether we win or lose. I want that. I had Jay Cutler for 9 years. Jay Cutler didn't give a shit about nothing. So yeah, I want Caleb Williams heartbroken that he'll no longer be able to play in college and he's having this moment with his mother. I fucking love that because that shows that he's a human being. I love Josh Allen having a breakdown like the cuck pussy that he is because he loves his team and he feels personally responsible. That is leadership. You morons. Fucking you people, you morons. Same people criticizing that probably had a good cry when Biden won. So stop it. Stop it. Yeah, that is the other big story that is also coming out of Buffalo this morning. Sean McDermott, head coach, 10 years, 9 years, whatever it is. Sean McDermott joins the list of recently unemployed NFL coaches, big name coaches that are definitely not, by the way, it's kind of interesting. I was thinking about this. I guess Andy Reid is safe. The old guard. It's like the old guard coaches. Harbaugh, they fired Harbaugh. Tomlin, they fired Tomlin. McDermott, he's been there 9 years. They fired McDermott. I mean, yeah, some other spares got fired too. McDaniel and other people. But this is it's an interesting year for coaches who going into this season were probably thought to be guys that, could write their own next contract if they wanted. But no. So now if you're a team, if you're out there, if you're the Tennessee Titans and you think that you're going to be saddled with Matt Nagy, and by the way, Nagy's going to the Titans. Book it. There's still a lot of good Nagy connections in this town. Nagy's going to the Titans. He's best friends with the GM. If your best friend can't hire you to be head coach, then what are we doing, right? Nagy's going to the Titans. Harbaugh going to New York. Now, Harbaugh, see here, now this is interesting. Think about this, because the rumors have been that John Harbaugh is going to go to the New York Giants. That deal ain't been papered yet, and it ain't even been announced. It's all just rumor at this point. But if you are John Harbaugh, you wake up this morning and you see that now there's another team in the state of New York that needs a coach, wouldn't you rather go and be Josh Allen's coach? Jackson Dart might have some nice upside there in New York City. But I would, if I'm John Harbaugh, I'm not a spring ticket. I'm not old. John Harbaugh's not old, but he's not, he's not young. John Harbaugh wants to get back. Is John Harbaugh the guy that could take the Buffalo Bills as led by Josh Allen from point A to point B to point C? Because Sean McDermott couldn't get him there to point C. But that now brings us to Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott's in the wind. That guy's going to get hired right away, too. He's got the head coach of the Buffalo Bills for the last 9 years. He turned that franchise around. You might say that they got, they got this kid out of Montana or Wyoming, wherever. Where did Josh Allen go? He's up there playing like mountain football. Maybe that's why Sean McDermott had such a, good run there in Buffalo. Or maybe he's just a fucking good coach who's also now available. I'm scratching my beard and I'm seeing dandruff. That is fucking, I am gross. All right, just ignore me. Ignore me, I'm gross. So McDermott's out. Who's going to go to Buffalo? I don't know. I don't see it being a Tomlin type thing. What direction does Brian Daboll, the recently fired head coach of the New York Giants and former offensive guru in Buffalo to Josh Allen, does Brian Daboll come back to Buffalo? Don't think that's crazy. Don't think that's crazy. Daboll got a head coaching job because of how good he was with Josh Allen. So I don't know. Anyway, a lot going on in the NFL. A lot of jobs open. A lot of very interesting candidates now looking for work. Mike Tomlin. Haven't even mentioned Mike Tomlin. The other big crazy thing that came out of that game, that Buffalo-Denver game, was the revelation about, 45 minutes or so after the game ended. And I mean, shocked. I was absolutely shocked. The announcement that Bo Nix, quarterback of the Denver Broncos, who just won their game against the Buffalo Bills and who are ascending to an AFC championship matchup against the New England Patriots, Bo Nix, their quarterback, on the second to last play, shattered his ankle. Oh my God, that fan base. Oh my God. Seriously, man. I mean, first of all, nobody has any reason to hate the Denver Broncos fan base. Okay. So if you're one of these people who are like, yeah, fuck those people, unless maybe if you're an Oakland Raiders or a Vegas Raiders, maybe Kansas City Chiefs, I don't know. Maybe if you're in the conference, you don't like them, but they seem like fairly decent people. The Denver Broncos seem like a fairly fun organization to root for. I like the crazy orange colors. Right, I go all the way back to Greg Morton and Ricky Upchurch and, back in the late 70s. I always enjoyed the Denver Broncos, the Orange Crush defense of the 1970s. They were an exciting team. So everybody nobody's got a problem. Nobody's grinding an axe against the Denver Broncos. So when we heard that Bo Nix went down, oh my God, I felt so bad for Broncos fans because I just couldn't imagine that. Jesus, it's such a great young quarterback. It's such a fluke injury, but it's a serious one. And, he's going to require surgery and he ain't playing. And so Jared Stidham, who is the backup quarterback, this is why you got to have a good backup because, I'm kind of shocked that Sean Payton did this. Sean Payton's an old quarterback himself. Sean Payton doesn't have. All right, let me give you an example. All right, so like in Chicago, we also have a quarterback. Who was highly drafted, just like Denver has Bo Nix. Our highly drafted quarterback has a backup who is basically like a Jared Stidham. He's another young player who knows, a couple of years in the system, maybe he'll be ready in free agency to go start somewhere else. That's what we've got as our backup. We've got a developing guy. But the Chicago Bears also have Case Keenum on staff just for these kinds of emergencies so that we have somebody who has played in professional NFL games that we can drop in and go like, well, at least we got a vet. How does Sean Payton not have that? How does Sean Payton not have, Bo Nix has been exciting and terrific to watch the first 2 years, but he's still just a second-year quarterback who lacks experience. Wouldn't you just want to have in the quarterback room a guy who's, maybe been in the league 10 years? Even, dare I say it, a Chase Daniel type. What's Andy Dalton doing? They don't seem to have that at the ready there in Denver, which, again, I'm surprised that Sean Payton, an old quarterback himself, didn't see the need to have somebody like that in the room, if for no other reason, just a vet that, can give advice to Bo Nix. I don't know. Bears did that. That's why we're carrying Case Keenum's contract. By the way, we don't need it anymore. Next year, Case Keenum, we can get rid of him. We can save a little cap space. Probably about $10 million. These backup quarterbacks, these veteran backup quarterbacks, man. Hall of Famers at the bank, every single one of them. None of them have a limp. They are all totally healthy, and they retire from their 10 years in the NFL with like a couple $100 million because nothing better than being a backup quarterback in the NFL. Hall of Famer at the banks. That's what they are. Maybe not on the field, but at the banks, they are Hall of Famers. What else do we have here? There's the situation that is going on with the Texans. We don't have to worry about it anymore because the Texans have been sent home. But linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair wore a headband. Here's the story here, and I'll give you the story. Eye black, not a headband. I was thinking Jim McMahon, the way Jim McMahon during the 85 Bears Super Bowl run wore headbands where he wrote specific messages. Houston Texans player claimed he was told that he'd be yanked from the game for his "Stop the Genocide" message on his eye tape. I'll show you a picture of it here just so we know what we're looking at here. So this is how he played the game. All right, that's how he played the game. Now, and I have to tell you, the only reason I knew about this story was because of the MAGA morons who I follow, just to monitor, just making sure that we all know what they're getting into. All the MAGA morons, they were very upset by seeing this, very angry. To which I'm like, I thought you guys were supposed to watch football. What's going on, MAGA? I thought you guys hadn't been watching football in years. Isn't there like a whole bunch of you that post every once in a while? Been 3 years without the NFL in my life, and boy, do I feel great. So that's all bullshit like everything else? The fucking nerve of MAGA to still have NFL hot takes. You guys are not supposed to be watching. You promised us that you would not fucking stink up our every Sunday experience by being present. MAGA promised you would stop watching football, and now they're all upset because apparently they're watching. Can we see him? Yeah, there we go. Hold on. Is this Yep, sorry. Hold on, let me go back. Boop, 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 boop. There he is. All right, so let me give you the story here about what he did. Houston Texans player claimed he was told he'd be yanked from the game for his stop the genocide message on his eye tape. Houston Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair claimed there were threats to pull him from last week's playoff game for having stopped the genocide written on his eye black. Al-Shaair wore the message, a reference to the suffering endured by the people of Gaza during the Texans' 30-6 win over Pittsburgh Steelers in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. So this was last weekend. Hours before the team's divisional round game against the New England Patriots, the league announced that it had fined Al-Shaair. The nature of the message was not the reason for the fine, but the mere existence of it violated the NFL's policy against including a personal message on one's person. He was fined more than $11,000 for the message. Okay, so you understand the NFL's place here. This guy has a message written on eye black. He is making a statement, okay? The statement he is making is in line with his Muslim faith. His statement is about the Gaza situation. The NFL is saying, we don't give a shit what the statement is. You could have had, I like balls. You know, you're being fined because we don't allow statements. Okay? That's what the NFL said. I don't know how you push back on that. If that's their thing, have they been pretty uniform in enforcing this? I mean, every time somebody has this ever occurred before? I don't know. People can look into it. But everybody's trying to say that the NFL is, taking the side of Trump and blah, blah. No. If they've got a rule that you can't make statements of this kind and have it placed anywhere on your person that is then going to be seen on camera, it doesn't matter what the statement is. They don't want to get into it. So all statements are banned. I totally get that. What is my opinion of the statement? I don't know. I don't care. Look, trust me. I understand that there are some terrible things going on over there in Gaza. I also understand that there's a whole big division in the crazy right between, people who love Israel and people who hate Israel. And and they're all MAGA. They're all like mushed together. This is what happens when you have a party of monsters, when you invite all the monsters in. So that's a thing going on over there. I don't fucking care. I'm a normal person. Here's what I like. I like that the bombing seems to have stopped. That's me. I'm just normal. But as far as what side am I on? I haven't given it really much thought because have you seen what's happening here in America? We're about to go to war with Greenland. So please spare me. Here is something else that I want to show you. All right. This is, we're going to end the show with this. This pisses me off, and it should piss you off too. This guy kind of ran on some assemblage of promises, one of which was they're going to respect us, right? The gaslight that Trump put out that you people all went, that you believed because you're stupid. The gaslight was that the rest of the world had no respect for the United States because of Obama and Biden, and that his very presence would make them all respect America again. They're going to love us again. That was his promise. Cut to today, we seem to be at war with fucking NATO. But whatever. Not a goddamn single thing he said has he delivered on, and I see you morons going, this is what I voted for. No, you voted for a list of pedophiles. You didn't get that. You voted for no wars in America first. You didn't get that. You voted for a whole bunch of shit that you didn't get. So just stop being embarrassed. You're internally embarrassed, and what you're doing to overcome this internal embarrassment is you're just being extra loud about lying about it. You know this isn't what you want. But I guess my question would be, did you even know what you want? Or were you just told what you're supposed to want? And you went, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to want. And he's going to give me what I'm supposed to want. So now that you're not getting it, you don't even fucking know that it's not being delivered upon because you never cared to begin with. This comes to us from the United Kingdom. There was a basketball game there. There was a basketball game featuring the Memphis Grizzlies and the Orlando Magic. It was held at the O2 Arena in England. But I guess we're doing the same thing that we do with football now. We're doing it with basketball over there. But they have basketball over there. And let me tell you something. I don't think the Brits are a basketball country. They do not seem like a basketball country. All right, here you go. Check this out. This was during the Memphis Grizzly Orlando Magic game there in London at the O2 Arena. This is the national anthem. These are the people that we have a special relationship with. These are our overseas cousins. This is the United Kingdom. Remember, Trump promised that they're all going to love us. Did you get that? One fucking dude in the crowd yells, "Leave Greenland alone." And the entire crowd goes, yeah, fuck this anthem. Fuck this anthem. That's what he's done to us. These are the people that love us more than anyone. These are the people we're supposed to love more than anyone. These are our cousins. This is the UK. We have a special relationship with them. And I tried to explain what that is. That is actually a diplomacy term that is applied to the relationship between the United States and England, which is unlike the relationship of any two countries in the world. We have a special relationship. And this is what they do during our anthem now. They had to fucking tell people, stop, we're in the middle of the anthem, stop, it's disrespectful, and the crowd just kept going. There you have it. They don't respect us. They think we're clowns. Luckily, I think we can fix it. We can right the ship pretty quickly. We can just go, okay, they're all going to jail. We're back to being who we were. And by the way, isn't that crazy? Remember in 2015 when all we did was complain about everything, how the world's going to hell. And now here we are 10 years later and we're like, no, we want to go back to where we were then. Make America normal again, right? All right, folks, there you go. That's going to do it for today's show. We do this each and every day, around about the noon o'clock hour. Been doing it since 2021. That's right, 5 years of opposition talk. And it hasn't always been called opposition talk. I just explained to you. This is what we're doing now because somebody has got to speak truth. We live in absurd times. Thank you for joining me. You can support the show with a tip. You can support this kind of talk radio. It doesn't exist anywhere else. I don't have big special interest groups writing me $100,000 a week checks the way the Charlie Kirks, Nick Fuentes, and Tim Pools have. No, there ain't nobody supporting this kind of reasonable, rationed middle talk. So drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App if you can. Thank you, by the way, to Mama B. Mama B, one more time, needs to be mentioned. She was today's executive producer. She dropped a little Get Right chunk over the weekend into the Cash App, and we are grateful for that. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate you. If you want to be Trial's executive producer one more time, all you got to do is drop a little something there in the Cash App or, Also, I need you to like, I need you to follow, I need you to amplify this show. Amplify. Doing the show from Chicago now. We're going to amplify it. I am slipping back into years in Texas. Had me with a little bit of a drawl. I have noticed that when I'm trying to be charming here in Chicago, like if I'm talking to somebody and I want to be a little charming, I can't help but slide into a little Texas. I do. And they always notice. They're like, oh, you had a little bit of a Texas accent there. And I'm like, oh, well, ma'am. Ha! It works. It works on people up here because it's a good accent. And it doesn't work the other way. Like you go down to Texas and you're like, hey, what kind of beef sandwich is this? It doesn't work. They're like, that's an ugly accent. Because it's true. Let's be honest. The Chicago accent is an extraordinarily ugly accent. Do you know how pretty a girl's got to be to pull off a Chicago neighborhood accent? She's got to be real pretty. Real pretty. Because otherwise, it's just ugly upon ugly. Ugh. The exact opposite is true in Texas. Oh my God, you could just have a total mid girl. Although, let's be honest, there's no such thing as a mid girl in Texas. A Texas 5, and this is no joke. A Texas 5 is a Chicago 8. Okay, that's the difference. It's crazy. Anyway, yeah. So our Chicago accents are ugly. We acknowledge this. Hard. Unforgiving, and the Texas accent is fucking so good. I like Texas accent is so good, man. It ain't, and by the way, the Texas accent, people in Texas know, like, this accent, man, that ain't the Texas accent. That's fucking Alabama. That's no. The Texas accent is a far more sophisticated version of the Southern drawl. It is not, in fact, a Southern drawl. It is, say it with me, a Texas twang. And that's a totally different thing. And it's really hot. It's really hot. You know how hot it is? Do you watch Landman? Oh my God. The only reason to put up with the presence of the Landman wife and daughter is, well, one, they're both pretty easy on the eyes, which is, again, typical of Texas. But secondly, the way they talk. I miss it. I just love it. I just listen to, like, even Demi Moore. The way Demi Moore is doing that Metroplex accent, it's just fucking so great. I love it. It's classy, yet it's still folksy and, soft. And it's hard to sound like a dick when you talk like that. I don't know. Anyway, that was a little rant I just went on because I noticed that I slipped into a Chicago accent. I love you, Peter. I love you, Peter, the most. I love you, Al. I love you, Yo Mama from Texas. I love you, April. See everybody else in the chat room. Anybody else? Maddie was fun today. I think I'm going to talk to Maddie from now on. I hope you guys don't mind, and maybe some of you other folks will start folding into the show as well. I want to talk to interesting people. We're going to do some things differently here than the way we've been doing this show every day for the last few years. You know what? Let me do this though, real quick. I have to actually be somewhere. But I got about 15, 20 minutes to kill. So let me just see something here. What has happened in the world since we signed on today? Denied peace prize. I'm going to read you some headlines. Denied peace prize. Trump tells Norway he wants Greenland. Okay, we covered that. Trump issues deranged leather. Okay, we covered that. 25th Amendment is discussed. That's a Daily Beast article. Here's another headline. Will Republicans ever step in? Yeah, that is a fucking question. It's on you guys. Republicans got to think of what's the next 5 years of your lives going to be. If you don't, when the moment is now, if you allow this and you allow whatever end is coming, are you going to be somebody that we're going to be able to go, hey, you didn't do dick, man. Here's a whole bunch of tape of you standing in the halls of Congress talking to CNN's Manu Raju, making all kinds of insane excuses for the madness that was happening. You did nothing. I mean, do these people want to be that? We are currently in a post-shame society. So in a post-shame society, they wouldn't be shamed by anything they did. I'd like to think that we're going to get back into a shame society. So maybe it will have repercussions. I don't know. Some of them are, but the ones that are chirping loudest, though, that are acting like we Republican, this is not Republican values. The ones who are saying that are like the ones who are super old, who probably aren't going to run again anyway. Or the ones who have already said they're not going to run again anyway and they're on the way out. I'll tell you, a lot of these idiots are just being complicit as fuck, and we need to start a list. We need to remember who these people are because they'll run for things in the future. We need to remember. President just handed Putin prize he's always wanted. Don't know what that's about. Russia celebrates NATO's collapse. Okay, so that's what it is. This whole, but I'm telling you, NATO is not collapsing. I've told you this before. NATO is not collapsing. We are being kicked out of it. And if you, as an American dude, think that the only reason NATO existed was because of us, you are wrong. We were in charge of it because we're United States of fucking America. The rest of the world looked to us as far as being the lead sled dog. But it doesn't mean that when the lead sled dog dies that you stop racing in the Iditarod. No. You got France, you got Germany, you got all of Europe. All of Europe who is now in a different state of mind. All of Europe who is thinking, all right, let's fucking close on the hatches here in NATO. Apparently, the United States of America now has no influence or presence in Europe. Probably for the best. He's writing shitpost letters to King of the Vikings. That's what's happening. I mean, is there some idea that it's like, well, yeah, you just wait till we say no more NATO? Do you think that all the NATO bases all over Europe just suddenly go, pfft? No. That's their shit. That shit is all there. That's theirs now. We're not going to be like, hey, guys, we're going to move over the course of the next couple of weeks, so we're going to start moving all these. No, you leave that shit behind. That's NATO shit. Trump is no longer in NATO. Does Trump want to go to war with NATO? Do you think that the United States military alone could defeat NATO? I don't. I think the reason we're a superpower is because of our combined forces. We are a superpower because the rest of the world listens to us. Now, initially, that was because we had nukes. It's so stupid. NATO is why we won the Cold War. NATO is why we as American citizens get to walk around any place on this planet that we want. That's because of NATO. But now we're no longer a part of it. We're just out here freeballing on our own. Just waiting for China to build. When China builds those fucking bases in Canada, because Canada is now buddy-buddy with China, because America is saying, we're going to make you a state. When China starts building those bases and then troops start moving towards the border of Michigan and Minnesota, when all that shit fucking starts to happen, do you think that the United States military, the home-based military here, is going to be able to stand down a combined Chinese and NATO force? Oh, fuck you. Could you imagine the irony of that? That it's a Chinese-led, NATO-supported invasion of the United States that sets everything back to normal. Could you imagine that? And I'd love to sit here and tell you that I think this is just some crazy pipe dream, some QAnon fucking fever dream. But I don't know that any of that shit is off the table anymore, because remember, the Bank of England is preparing for Trump to announce that alien life exists through the looking glass, through the looking glass, folks. Anyway, that's going to do it. We'll be back tomorrow. There's going to be more madness tomorrow. All right, love you all. Be good to each other. Be nice to each other. And for fucking God's sake, just be cool, okay? Stop being dicks.